Chapter 2162. Qianfen pondered for a while and said, "The Millennium Tribulation is here. We must seize the time to eradicate the Kobe faction. This tribulation is the Ascending Immortal Tribulation. There is no place for ascending immortals in the divine world anymore. Even if everyone stays in the time pocket world to cultivate, there will be no breakthrough." The supreme martial artists nodded. Qianfen continued, "I'll completely refine this small world first. Then, we'll join forces to attack the Kobe Gate." After a month, Qianfen successfully refined the time pocket world. However, only a few hours had passed in the outside world. The time small world transformed into a white light and flew into Qianfen's sea of consciousness. He felt that as long as he urged his divine sense, he would be able to immediately enter the time small world, just like his astral world. However, there was an additional memory in Qianfen's mind. The aura of that memory was extremely ancient, as if it was the beginning of the world. "Because of the lightning tribulation, I can't fly to the immortal world normally. Today, I plan to tear open the space and give it a try. The consequences are unpredictable, so I'll leave this small world of time in the divine supreme continent. If someone is fated to refine it, it will be my gift to him." Other than the pocket dimension, there is also a set of cultivation technique. Although the cultivation technique is incomplete, it is the essence of this old man's lifetime of comprehension. If there is a fated person who accepts the pocket dimension and the cultivation technique, please help this old man. If this old man fails to break through, I believe that I will die miserably in the space-time turbulence. This old man has a son named Lin Haoru. I hope that there is a fated person who can pass the cultivation technique to him." The memory ended here. Qianfeng activated his divine telekinesis and checked the secret cultivation method left behind by the old man. He was immediately stunned by the contents of the cultivation method. "The creation of heaven and earth art has 5 parts, but I have only studied the first 4 parts. The mantra is as follows." Qianfen quickly finished reading the first 3 chapters. They were the creation chapter, the creation chapter, and the creation chapter. The mental cultivation technique was exactly the same as the creation of heaven and earth art that Qianfen had obtained. It was obvious that this was a rare cultivation technique created by the divine continent's #1 great Tao hierarch. Moreover, there was a 4th chapter in his memories. It was called the World Creation Chapter. Qianfen was not in the mood to read the contents of the creation of heaven and earth chapter in detail. He was stunned by this piece of memory information. If the person who left behind this information was the creator of the creation of heaven and earth skill, then wasn't this person the great Tao Divine Venerable Senior who had caused a sensation in the past? "Young hero Qin, are we still not leaving?" Nantianju reminded when he saw Qianfeng standing there in a daze. When Qianfeng regained his senses, he immediately asked, "Senior, do you know the real name of the divine continent's #1 great Tao ultimate god?" The supreme beings were stunned. No one had expected Qianfeng to ask such a question at this time. Nantianju pondered for a moment before saying, "I've only heard rumors about him. I think he's called Lin Chu Xiao." Qianfen recalled Lin Haoran mentioned in his memory and was even more certain that he was a great Tao ultimate god. "Young hero Qin, why are you asking this?" Nantianju was puzzled. Qianfen did not hide anything and said honestly, "After I refined the small world of time just now, I obtained a trace of divine thought memory. I suspect that it was left behind by a great Tao ultimate god." The supreme martial artists were shocked. "Great Tao Divine Master's divine will memory? What did he say?" Senior Great Tao Divinity left behind a set of cultivation technique secret manuals that he had comprehended throughout his life. That time pocket world was also his item. He also mentioned that he had an only son named Lin Haoru, said Qianfen. "Lin Haoru? Could it be the sect leader Lin from thousands of years ago?" The #1 rogue cultivator in the Eastfield continent, Wang Yun, fell into deep thought. The other supreme martial artists had obviously heard of Lin Haoru's name. The sect leader Lin has long disappeared. I don't know if he has died or stepped into the celestial world. However, the Lin clan is still around, but it's a far cry from Lin Haoru's heyday. It's even been reduced to a second or third-rate force in the Eastfield continent. Tisk Tieske. I really didn't expect Lin Haoru to be a great Tao Ultimate God's only son. No wonder his cultivation talent is so heaven-defying. It's a pity that the Lin clan is now in decline. This is really a case of 300 years east and 300 years west. The supreme martial artist side. The Lin clan's current situation was very similar to theirs. They were once a king's supreme martial artist, but now they were in dire straits. By the way, young hero Qin, what secret manuals did senior great Tao Ultimate God leave behind? Priest Wu from the West Sea continent asked. Qin Fun had always protected the creation of heaven and earth skill as a great secret. He even rarely taught it to his women and friends. This was because once this kind of top-notch divine technique was exposed, it would definitely cause a bloodbath. However, now that a great disaster was imminent, and the few people in front of him were supreme martial artists who had stepped into the peak of true God, Qin Fun didn't need to hide the creation of heaven and earth skill anymore. He activated his divine consciousness, and the mental cultivation method of the creation of heaven and earth skill was transmitted into everyone's mind. He Shuhan exclaimed, "It really is the complete mental cultivation method of the creation of heaven and earth skill." Back then, I only obtained the second and third chapters, but because the cultivation method was incomplete, I didn't dare to cultivate it. I didn't expect you to have already started cultivating it. No wonder your cultivation level increased so quickly. The creation of heaven and earth skill had always been known as the #1 divine technique in the divine continent. Now that the mental cultivation method of the first 4 chapters was in everyone's mind, even these supreme martial artists couldn't stay calm. This divine technique is worthy of being the essence of senior great Tao Ultimate God's lifetime comprehension. Even I can't comprehend it in a short time. I think we should kill our way to the Kobe Gate first. We can slowly comprehend and cultivate the divine technique in the future, Nan Tianjue suggested. Everyone nodded. Comprehending the true essence of the creation of heaven and earth skill was not something that could be done in a short time. The most important thing now was to survive the Millennium Calamity. After Qin Fun refined the pocket world of time, the secret territory disappeared. Everyone was now in the celestial herb valley, and the surrounding spiritual energy was abundant. Qin Fun quickly discovered the abnormality. The rich spiritual energy was missing a unique aura. Qin Fun now knew that the unique aura was emitted by the Tree of Life. It was obvious that the Tree of Life had been refined along with the pocket world of time. Qin Fun couldn't help but sigh. The cost of maintaining the pocket world of time was really high. It actually required 12 trees of life to provide energy. Everyone didn't stop and immediately flew out of the Celestial Herb Valley. As soon as they flew out of the Celestial Herb Valley's array door, everyone's expression became solemn. The outside was shrouded by dark clouds, and it was a magnificent scene before the end of the world. The dense dark clouds were moving quickly, chasing after some cultivators. When the cultivators were shrouded by the dark clouds, heart-wrenching screams could be heard. After the dark clouds flew far away, the cultivators' figures could no longer be seen. 9-headed soul-devouring insects. So many 9-headed soul-devouring insects. It must be that bastard Ling Wanyan who released them. He wants the divine continent to perish. Let's not talk so much. Let's quickly kill these demonic beasts. Otherwise, the Eastfield continent will fall into an unimaginable disaster. The moment they came out, they ran into trouble, and it was a super big trouble that was hard to predict. First, set a small goal. For example, remember in 1 second. Booksellers Mobile. Chapter 2163. When the few of them released their divine wills, everything within a radius of thousands of miles seemed to be right in front of them. It wasn't just the immortal Medicine Valley that was occupied by the 9-headed soul-devouring bug. There were traces of the soul-devouring bug in the other cities and mountain ranges. Although everyone had already guessed that Ling Wanyan, the bastard, had more than one soul-devouring bug in the small world of time, they were still deeply shocked when they saw the countless soul-devouring bugs outside. What should we do now? There are so many soul-devouring insects. How can we kill them all? The few supreme martial artists were in despair. Not long ago, they had used all their strength to kill one soul-devouring bug, and now, half of the Eastfield continent had been invaded by the nine-headed soul-devouring bug. Wanting to kill all of them was simply a fantasy. Qin Fin sank into deep thought. He had a bold idea, and that was to send all the nine-headed soul-devouring bugs into the Time Pocket world. However, this idea soon met with an obstacle. Even though Qin Fin had refined the Time Pocket world, he could only enter it himself. There was no way for him to take other things in. Got it. Qin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. All the supreme martial artists looked over. Needless asked hatefully, "Young hero Qin, have you thought of a way to deal with the nine-headed soul-devouring bug?" "There really is a way. I was just about to ask Senior, isn't that gourd of yours able to absorb the devouring immortal insect? Why don't you use it to absorb these nine-headed soul-devouring bugs?" Qin Feng asked. Shuhen shook his head and sighed. "AI. Although my gourd is a small world, it's a low-level and incomplete small world. At most, it can only absorb immature celestial devouring bugs, but the nine-headed soul-devouring bug has already changed into another form. Its divine soul is extremely powerful, and it can even generate its own magnetic field. My small gourd world can't absorb this kind of thing." Qin Fin was not disappointed. He continued to ask, "Then can the small world of time accept the nine-headed soul-devouring bug?" "Of course. Otherwise, the soul-devouring bug that we killed earlier would have broken free from the small world's restraints and come to the outside world," Shuhen said with certainty. "I was planning to use the Time Pocket world to take away the nine-headed soul-devouring bug. What do you think?" Qin Fin voiced out his thoughts. The expressions of the few supreme beings changed. Many of them looked pleasantly surprised. Shuhen immediately shouted, "Hey, why didn't I think of that? Young hero Qin can definitely give it a try. But there's a problem now. Although I've refined the Time Pocket world, I can't absorb anything else. How did Senior Hateful Score do it?" Qin Feng asked. "That is not an obstacle. Truth be told, a small world can be fused with a weapon. However, the requirements for the fused weapon are very high. At the very least, it must be a half-immortal artifact. That small gourd of mine was originally a top-grade immortal artifact. Later on, I invited a half-immortal artifact grandmaster to upgrade and modify it. Only then did it fuse with the small world," Shuhen explained. Qin Feng was suddenly enlightened. He didn't lack weapons to fuse with. Not to mention quasi-celestial artifacts, he even had 2 celestial artifacts. After thinking for a while, Qin Fin decided to fuse Heavenly Rainbow with the Time Pocket world. Firstly, the Heavenly Rainbow contained the bloodline of the Divine Dragon and a sliver of the divine will of that almighty being. He believed that the fusion would yield twice the results with half the effort. Secondly, if he used an exceptional sword to fuse with it, it would cause unnecessary awkwardness afterward. After all, that exceptional sword had been snatched from Shin Chijuan. After making his decision, Qin Fin immediately brought Sky Rainbow into the Time Pocket world. 1 day in the outside world was equivalent to 3 years here. Even though it was Qin Fin's first time fusing with a small world, he could afford to waste time. The process of refining and fusing was similar to refining weapons. However, Qin Fin was only at the level of a top-grade weapon refining grandmaster. If he wanted to completely fuse the small world with Sky Rainbow, he would have to raise his weapon refining skills to the level of an immortal master. Qin Fin entered seclusion. However, Nan Tianjue and the others didn't stay idle. They flew towards the black fog in the sky. They planned to eliminate the nine-headed soul-devouring bug outside the immortal medicinal valley. 9 supreme martial artists at the peak of the True God stage appeared once again. Ferocious true elemental energy swirled behind them. They were like 9 true dragons soaring in the sky. The cultivators who were struggling in the black fog looked over with complicated expressions. "What's that? What a powerful and aged aura. It should be because the evil beasts were causing trouble. The Eastfield continent's supreme martial artists who didn't enter the world must have made a move." True God? These few are all True God stage seniors. After knowing that it was the True God stage, the crowd instantly became excited. They even forgot about the dangerous situation they were in. Even in the Eastern Field Continent, where the spiritual energy was the most abundant on the Divine Continent, True God Realm Masters were rare existences. The few famous True God Realm Masters were the patriarchs of the Eastern Field Continent's 9-star sects. Their names were well known in the Eastern Field Continent. However, those cultivators were unfamiliar with Nan Tianjue and the others. They couldn't even recognize any of the True God stage seniors. It was as if 9 True God supreme martial artists had descended from the sky. We're saved. We're saved. What kind of evil creature is hiding in the black fog? It's really too powerful. But with 9 True God supreme martial artists descending, they can definitely kill the evil creature. Hope reignited in everyone's hearts. They still hadn't realized how powerful the 9-headed soul-devouring bug was. Nan Tianjue and the others each rushed to the top of one of the soul-devouring bug's heads and immediately launched a killing blow. In an instant, the weather changed. 9 holes appeared in the sky. Those 9 black holes quickly expanded and shrouded the top of the soul-devouring bug's head. It was as if the end of the world was coming. However, the crack only descended halfway and stopped in midair. The 9 heads of the soul-devouring insect roared at the sky, and the ferocious aura spewed out from its mouth instantly broke through the air. The airflow began to rotate on its own and actually formed 9 black hole hurricanes. An extremely rare scene appeared in front of them. The cultivators, watching, were dumbfounded. The 2 black holes collided in the sky, separating a completely broken space. The turbulence in the space collided, forming a land of certain death. What a powerful evil creature. Even the 9 True God stage seniors can't do anything to it. This evil creature looks like a dragon, but not a dragon. What the hell is it? Legend has it that there's an evil creature from the immortal world that can devour a cultivator's divine sense to strengthen itself. Its mature form has a 9-headed snake body. It's called the 9-headed soul-devouring bug. Could this evil creature in front of us be the 9-headed soul-devouring bug? Isn't that an evil beast from the immortal world? Why would it appear in the divine continent? Everyone couldn't understand the appearance of the 9-headed soul-devouring bug. They also didn't know that the 1,000-year calamity was coming. Nan Tianjue and the others were locked in a fierce battle with the soul-devouring bug. Without Qin Fen's ice heart flame and 9th heaven frozen seal, it became extremely difficult to cut off the soul-devouring bug's head. The fierce battle lasted for 1 day and 1 night. Nan Tianjue and the others' true essence was severely depleted. Their attacks were clearly weakened. However, the 9-headed soul-devouring bug seemed to be more and more courageous. It gradually turned from being at a disadvantage to gaining the upper hand. No. If this drags on, everyone will die. It's better to leave this place first and wait for young hero Qin to come out of seclusion. Nan Tianjue felt that his sea of consciousness couldn't bear it anymore. The black fog that filled the sky was pervasive, as if it was going to drill into his mind at any time. Chapter 2164. The other's conditions would only be worse than Nan Tianjue, not better than him. Everyone immediately retreated, but the 9-headed soul-devouring bug was already enraged. How could it just watch them leave? When the 9 heads howled, the layer of black mist in the sky quickly converged. Like a huge skynet, it enveloped Nan Tianjue and the others. No matter how fast the 9 of them were, they couldn't escape from the boundless black mist. Very quickly they were engulfed by the black mist. It was hard to see with the naked eye, and divine sense couldn't enter at all. The 9 Supreme Being Seniors have fallen? Such a powerful demonic beast appeared in Eastfield Continent. Even godly venerables in True God Realm are no match for it. This will be a huge calamity for Eastfield Continent. Everyone, don't just stand there. Quickly run for your lives. The glimmer of hope that was ignited in those cultivators' hearts was completely destroyed. Some ignorant cultivators tried to join hands to defeat the soul-devouring bugs, but now that idea disappeared without a trace. Nan Tianjue and the others didn't die so quickly, But inside the thick black mist, they were in a very dangerous situation. The black mist was filled with devouring immortal insects. They were slowly engulfing their divine sensei. This damned demonic beast, this old man is going to fight it out with them. Someone roared. His body suddenly surged with true essence. He was actually going to self-destruct his divine sense to destroy the nine-headed soul-devouring bug. Nantianju immediately stopped him. Junior brother Jingji, don't be rash. Even if you self-destruct your divine sense, it will be difficult to kill the soul-devouring bug. If you want to completely exterminate this demonic beast, you can only kill all 9 of them at the same time, destroying their divine sense. Other methods are useless. Xiuhun also advised. But it was too late for Jingji to stop. He had completely opened up his divine sense, allowing those devouring immortal insects to enter. Even if he dispelled the idea of self-destructing his divine sense was already under attack. It felt like it was going to explode at any time. Everyone was like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. They couldn't even protect themselves. No one could help Jingji. Seeing Jingji roar in pain, a rainbow light suddenly appeared, cutting the black mist in half. The black mist crazily surged, trying to fill up the sky-dividing line. But not only did the rainbow light not disappear, it was also rapidly spreading to both sides. It was like a red sky slowly spreading. The fleeing cultivators stopped abruptly. They had seen too many wondrous and magnificent sights today. What's that? What a beautiful cloud. Could it be that Doomsday Beast has been killed? This isn't a cloud, it's a sword force. Another almighty senior has come. The crowd was shocked. The rainbow curtain in the sky was actually a sword move. In that case, just how powerful was the cultivation of the person who executed the sword move? However, the magnificent scene in front of them was only the beginning. When the rainbow curtain completely unfolded, the sky above their heads was completely covered. The black fog immediately disappeared as if it couldn't stand the light. In the end, a huge demonic beast with 9 heads and a snake's body appeared. It looked extremely terrifying. 9-headed soul-devouring bug. It's really a 9-headed soul-devouring bug. Demonic beasts from the immortal world have appeared in the divine supreme continent. Is this a sign that something big is about to happen? Look at that rainbow curtain. There's a person standing inside. Qin Fun hovered in the air with his sword. He slashed out a rainbow in his hand, creating a magnificent scene. He was actually standing on the rainbow curtain, but in everyone's eyes, it was as if he was in the sky, like a god descending to the mortal world. The rainbow curtain was not only the power of the sword move, but also the power formed by the small world of time. The 9-headed soul-devouring bug was roaring at the sky. The aura on its body was tumbling like a tsunami. Its body suddenly stood up like a rising mountain, and its 9 heads were thrown out, smashing into the sky curtain in the sky. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound spread out. The cultivators who stayed in the distance felt their hearts beat faster, and even their hair stood on end. However, the fierce attack penetrated the sky curtain, creating turbulent sparks in the higher void. The moment the 9 heads touched the sky curtain, they suddenly disappeared without a trace. Success. Qin Fun was overjoyed. The 9 heads of the soul-devouring bug had been absorbed into the small world of time, leaving only its mountain-like body struggling and twisting on the ground. Even the surrounding mountains were shaking. A black shadow flew out from the broken head. Qin Fun was waiting for this moment. The long sword in his hand slashed down, and a rainbow flashed, instantly blowing up the soul of the soul-devouring bug. This time, the 9-headed soul-devouring bug was completely destroyed. Its mountain-like body was blown away by the wind like a fossil, scattering on the ground. Several figures landed beside Qin Fun. Nan Tianjue said excitedly, "Young hero Qin, you succeeded. If it wasn't for the seniors risking their lives to buy time outside, I wouldn't have been able to do it," Qin Fun said modestly. Xiuhun looked at the rainbow in Qin Fun's hand with an itch in his heart. This immortal weapon was much more advanced than his gourd treasure. It could even fuse with the small world of time. Since young hero Qin has found a way to deal with the soul-devouring bug, Let's go and destroy the other soul-devouring bugs first, Bai suggested. Qinfen shook his head and said, the purpose of the Kobe faction secretly raising the soul-devouring bugs is to control the divine supreme continent, but it has not reached the point where it can be used. Bai Yu did not understand. Young hero Qin, what do you mean? I think Ling Wanyan is deliberately stalling for time. He released the soul-devouring bugs to attract our attention, said Qinfen. Everyone fell into deep thought. After a while, Nan Tianjue said, what does Ling Wanyan want to do? That's hard to say. Maybe it's something more important than the soul-devouring bugs. The nine-headed soul-devouring bug was a demonic beast from the immortal world. It was a unique existence in the divine supreme continent. Moreover, it was not easy to cultivate a mature soul-devouring bug. If Ling Wanyan wanted to do something more important than the survival of the soul-devouring bugs, it was most likely related to the Millennium Calamity. Young hero Qin's analysis is reasonable. Why don't we kill the Kobe faction first? It won't be too late to kill the demonic beasts after we kill Ling Wanyan. Nan Tianjue made a decision. Now that all the honorable martial artists followed Qinfen's lead, no one raised any objections. When the 10 of them left on their flying swords, they left behind a magnificent scene of rolling clouds in the sky. The surviving cultivators could not take their eyes off it. They killed the nine-headed soul-devouring bug. Where did these honorable gods come from? The Eastfield continent is going to change. There are demonic beasts everywhere in the Eastfield continent. I wonder if those honorable gods went to kill other demonic beasts. This disaster is not something we can participate in. Let's all return to our sects and hide. 3 days later, Qinfen and the 10 of them arrived at a stretch of mountain range. And in the huge canyon between the peaks was the base of the Eastfield continent's #1 sect, the Kobe faction. Young hero Qin, this is the place, Nan Tianjue said in a deep voice. After Qinfen knew the situation, he did not say anything. His feet landed on a mountain peak, and he slashed down with his sword. Chapter 2165. A purple light soared into the sky and shrouded the entire canyon like a beautiful sunset. Then, a loud explosion sounded, shaking the earth and mountains, and countless peaks collapsed. Who dares to come to the Kobe sect and cause trouble? Are you tired of living? Several black shadows flew out of the explosion and formed an array in the sky. Qinfen's answer was simple and violent. He raised his blade and drew a bright purple light in the sky, instantly killing more than a dozen people in the array. Small fries don't come to die. Go back and report to your sect leader Ling Wanyan that I, Qinfen, am here to destroy your sect. Qinfen stood on the mountain peak with his blade alone, like a god of war descending to the world. More and more cultivators flew from the foot of the mountain, but they were no match for Qinfen at all. They didn't even have time to make a move before they died tragically in the violent explosion caused by Qinfen's first blade. This was only Qinfen's divine power. As for Nantianju and the others, they stood on the 9 mountain peaks and didn't need to make a move. In just a short period of time, at least hundreds of Kobe sect disciples were killed. The cultivators who came later were panic-stricken and didn't dare to make a move. They were shocked by Qinfen's divine power. It turned out that there was really someone in the divine continent who dared to attack the Kobe sect. This moment came so suddenly that the Kobe sect disciples were caught off guard. They were confused by the alternating emotions of disbelief and fear, and even suspected that everything was a dream. This kind of one-sided slaughter no longer aroused Qinfen's interest. He jumped down from the mountain peak into the valley, raised the ruler high above his head, and slashed down like a waterfall of the Milky Way. Rumble. Loud noises rose and fell. There seemed to be a violent earthquake in the Kobe sect. The ruler's blade power split the earth, creating a boundary line between the Chu River and the Kobe sect. The Kobe sect cultivators were dumbfounded. Who was this person? He felt like he could destroy an army by himself. The Kobe sect's disaster is coming. Go and report to the sect leader. There are still a few enemies on the mountain peak who haven't made a move yet. These people's aura is so strong. They seemed to be true immortal realm ultimate gods. This was the first time the Kobe disciples experienced panic. In the past, they never thought that their sect would be attacked. At this moment, a black shadow flashed by. The shadow's speed was so fast that even divine senses could not capture it. The black shadow went straight in Qin Fen's direction. Qin Fen, who had just landed in the valley, had a change of expression. He immediately slashed forward with his saber. A purple light suddenly appeared, bringing with it a ferocious killing intent. The black figure held a long sword in his hand. Surprisingly, he did not dodge or evade. Instead, he pointed his sword at the sky and attempted to clash head-on with Qin Fen's saber chi. A loud sound quickly spread out, as if a hole had been blasted in the sky. At the place where the two violent true essences collided, a black hole was formed, causing the crowd to cry out in alarm. Grand Elder Ling Qi is here. Who is the enemy? He can even withstand the sword of Great Elder Ling Qi. Look, the Great Elders have all come out. Just as Qin Feng and Ling Qi finished exchanging blows, a few more black figures flew over. Their auras were extremely powerful, and they were no weaker than Ling Qi. As soon as these figures arrived, they immediately attacked. Suddenly, a ferocious attack covered the sky and the earth, as if it was going to destroy the world. The Kobe faction is stronger than we thought. They actually have so many true God Realm cultivators. Young hero Qin is in danger. Everyone, hurry up! Nan Tianjue and the other Supremes flew down from the mountain peak and immediately joined the battle. The Kobe faction was instantly caught in a fierce battle. The mountain peak collapsed one after another, and the explosions were hard to calm down. Once the battle started, it was destined to be the peak battle of the Divine Continent in the past few hundred years. The battlefield was filled with true God Realm experts, and the lineup was shocking. However, after a round of fighting, the great elders of the Kobe faction were at a disadvantage. Although all of them had stepped into the true God Realm, their foundations were not as strong as Nan Tianjue and the other Supremes. A loud sound suddenly rang out. Qin Fen killed two true God Realm Great Elders with a single slash. Nan Tianjue and the others did not fall behind, and they killed their opponents one after another. In less than an hour, 11 true God Realm Great Elders had fallen. This was something that would never happen under normal circumstances. This is bad. The Great Elders have been killed, and the Kobe faction is facing an unprecedented crisis. Who are those people? Why do they look so unfamiliar? When did the Eastfield continent have so many true God Realm Great Elders? Why hasn't the faction master shown himself? We can't let this go on. The Kobe faction's disciples panicked, and a small group of cultivators even started to run away. Before those people could fly far, their bodies suddenly exploded in the sky, and a cold voice resounded through the valley. The Kobe faction will live forever. Those who dare to be deserters will be killed, without mercy. The cultivators that were running away stopped abruptly, but they still could not escape death. Their bodies exploded like fireworks in the sky. More than a dozen black figures flew out from the Kobe faction's valley. It was another group of true God Realm cultivators. When the leading elder landed on the ground, Nan Tianjue exclaimed, "Junior brother, Hikue. You're not dead?" Nan Tianjue was not the only one who recognized Hikue. The other 8 Supremes had a complicated expression when they saw the newcomer. Hikue was one of the Divine Continent's 12 Supremes in the past. Nan Tianjue had purposely looked for him some time ago, but to no avail. He thought Hikue had fallen, but he unexpectedly appeared in the Kobe faction. "Ha! Senior brothers and junior brothers, long time no see," Hikue said with a faint smile. "Even you guys are not dead, so how can I be dead?" Nan Tianjue's expression was cold, and he had some guesses in his heart. "You've sided with Ling Wannian, that bastard?" A wise man submits to circumstances. I advise everyone to follow Faction Master Ling's side. On account of our many years of friendship, I can plead with Faction Master Ling. Faction Master is magnanimous and will not hold grudges against us in the past, Hikue said. He Shuhen immediately scolded, "Ling Wannian, that bastard, wants to seal the divine continent and prevent cultivators from becoming celestials. You actually submitted to him. How despicable. Hikuei's expression was cold. Humph. It's you guys who are short-sighted.
How dare you criticize me?
If that's the case, don't expect me to speak up for you guys in front of faction masterling. Pfft. Who cares about your words? I'll kill you first to vent my anger. Shuhan slammed his palm forward. With his palm, the weather changed drastically. It was as if the sky was collapsing. A giant palm print covered the sky and fell to the ground with a thunderous momentum. Hikuei sneered and stabbed his sword forward. A white light appeared, as if it had split the sky in half. Even the palm print was cut in half, and the ferocious vital energy dissipated.
Ha!
I haven't seen you for so many years, but your abilities are still so weak. Hikuei sneered. Shuhan slammed his palm down again. This time, the giant vital energy palm rolled like clouds, sweeping up an even more ferocious aura. Don't brag too early, or else it'll be hard to clean up this mess. Chapter 2166. The two of them fought fiercely. The 10 true god experts that Hikuei brought also attacked. Qin Fun and the rest were in an intense battle again. They realized that the Kobe sect was really powerful. True god experts were as common as ordinary disciples. After killing one batch, another batch would come. However, the foundations of these true god experts were not stable. It was as if they were chasing after higher realms, so they improved very quickly. Their true essence could not compare to Shinchijuan and the rest. Their divine telekinesis was even weaker. Qin Fun quickly discovered the secret. Hence, he changed his battle style from true essence to divine telekinesis. He leaped towards the 2 true god disciples. The 2 were shocked. When they regained their senses, they sneered and immediately attacked Qin Fun. True essence surged, but Qin Fun ignored it. When he activated his divine telekinesis, an extremely strong magnetic field surged from his body. It stirred the air and formed a domain. Within the domain, everything seemed to stop. Even the attacks of the 2 Kobe sect disciples stopped. Qin Fun's divine telekinesis attacked quickly. He could not even see the actual attack. 2 loud sounds came from the sky. The 2 Kobe sect disciples exploded on the spot. The escaping divine telekinesis was also destroyed. The death of a true god would cause a huge commotion. Even the weather would change. The people who were fighting looked over. Their expressions changed. However, this was just the beginning. Qin Fun's figure flashed, and he dashed towards a place with the most people. He used the same move. The domain was formed, and his divine telekinesis spread out. The heaven and earth seemed to have fallen into hell. The 5 true god experts exploded and disappeared like 5 stars in the sky. Great elders died one after another. What is going on? It's that young hero. He looks to be less than 30 years old, but his cultivation is so terrifying. Even a true god expert is killed like a dog. We are still fated to be killed by him. Everyone, run for your lives. The Kobe sect is going to be destroyed. The people panicked. They had never seen such a fierce battle. However, a loud sound came from the sky. The cultivators who had just flown away exploded one after another. The dense sound was like firecrackers. Nan Tianjue and the rest stopped and looked towards the valley in the distance. A powerful aura floated over, but no one appeared. Suddenly, an agonizing cry rang out from the crowd. The number 1 expert of the Northern Sand region had exploded and died. Before he died, he didn't even have the time to say a single word. Junior brother Jingji, who's causing trouble? If you have the ability, come and fight me. Nantianju and the others were furious. At the same time, they were flustered. As supreme masters of the divine supreme continent, each of them was a peak true god realm expert. However, they did not even notice that an enemy had appeared beside them. They were even killed instantly by the enemy. Another explosion rang out. This time, it was the Demon King Haiban who blew it up. A strange aura instantly drifted in the air. The few supreme beings who were still alive were all panicking. The strength of the enemy, made them feel a little despair. Haha, I haven't seen you for many years. How are you, my old friends? An aged and mocking voice rang out. Even though they couldn't see the owner of the voice, the expressions of the supreme martial artists instantly changed. Ling Wanyan, I know it's you. Stop playing tricks and come out and fight me if you have the guts, Priest Wu of the West Sea Continent suddenly shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud explosion came from his body. Even his divine sense was destroyed, and he disappeared on the spot. A heavy atmosphere pressed down on the hearts of the supreme beings. Everyone raised their vigilance and tried to find Ling Wanyan's figure under the gloomy sky. However, they couldn't find him. However, at this moment, a gust of strong wind appeared. That hurricane flew out from the depths of the valley. Everywhere it went, it was as if a war had broken out, turning everything into ruins. The hurricane finally stopped in midair above the battlefield. An old man wrapped in a black robe appeared. He had white hair and a youthful complexion. He was standing on a white cloud, and his aura was unique. It was as if an immortal had arrived.
Ling Wanyan.
Nan Tianjue's voice was cold. The old man in the sky smiled and said, A few hundred years have passed. You guys are still at the same spot, but I've already stepped into the ranks of immortals. Now, you guys are merely ants in my eyes. As long as I want to, I can kill you at any time. Zhengji and the other two are living examples. Stepped into the ranks of immortals. The expressions of the supreme beings changed instantly. The thing that they were most worried about had happened. Ling Wanyan continued, Seeing that we have known each other for a while, I can spare your lives. You will submit to me like He Kuei and be obedient watchdogs from now on. If I am in a good mood, I might even teach you how to ascend to the celestial realm. He Kuei's eyes shone brightly. He immediately cupped his fists towards the sky and said, Thank you, sect leader Ling. This subordinate will be loyal and devoted to the Kobe clan and will never have any other thoughts.
Ha! Good dog.
Good dog. Ling Wanyan looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. The #1 rogue cultivator in the Eastfield continent, Wang Yun, couldn't stand it anymore. He shouted towards the sky, Ling Wanyan, you bastard. Don't think that we will submit to you. We are not as lowly as He Kuei. We can be killed, but not humiliated. At most, we will just die. Wang Yun's words made everyone's blood boil. However, with a loud bang, Wang Yun exploded and died on the spot. Death came too suddenly. Nan Tianjue and the others didn't notice it at all. The atmosphere dropped to the freezing point, and the aura of death was within reach. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, only 5 of the 9 supremes who had come with Qin foam were left. Nan Tianjue, what is the meaning of this? Don't tell me you are as stubborn as Wang Yun? Ling Wanyan looked at them with a faint smile. Everyone was anxious. Nan Tianjue blamed himself. The decision to attack the Kobe sect was too hasty. No matter what, they should have investigated Ling Wanyan's strength before making any further plans. However, there was no medicine for regret. Seeing that 4 of his companions had died, Nan Tianjue could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. He slapped towards Ling Wanyan. Everyone attacked together. We only have one chance. We must kill this bastard Ling Wanyan. Seeing that Nan Tianjue had made his move, the other 4 did not retreat. They immediately followed him and used their ultimate techniques without holding back. In an instant, dark clouds covered the sky. It was the attack formed by the overlapping palm prints of the 4 people. The clouds fell quickly as if the sky had collapsed, and the pressure made it difficult for the disciples of the Kobe sect to breathe. The cloud of palm prints was about to explode above Ling Wanyan's head. However, Ling Wanyan's expression was as calm as usual. He raised his hand lightly, and a gust of wind suddenly rose. As if the wind had blown away the clouds, the surging true essence formed by the joint efforts of the 5 people disappeared. Since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, this immortal will fulfill your wish. A ruthless look flashed across Ling Wanyan's face. As he urged his divine thoughts, a wave of magnetic field fluctuated and instantly surrounded Nan Tianjue and the others. The air in the field was still, and the 5 people couldn't move. At the same time, a powerful impact entered their sea of consciousness, and then they heard a loud bang of the sea of consciousness. First, set a small goal. For example, remember in 1 second. Booksellers Mobile. Chapter 2167. Bang, 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 bang. In an instant, Nan Tianjue and the other 4 exploded at the same time, and even their divine senses were obliterated. Qin Fin stood blankly in the sky for a long time, unable to come back to his senses. He even felt that everything was a dream. Half an incense stick of time ago, Nan Tianju and the other 8 Supremes were still fighting shoulder to shoulder with him. Now the 9 Supremes had all fallen. Are you the tribulation taker? Ling Wanyan's voice rang out, pulling Qin Feng's thoughts back to reality and telling him that all of this had really happened. Qin Feng could not accept it. He and the 9 honorable martial artists had come full of confidence, but in the end, the huge battle that they had imagined had already ended before it had even begun. Qin Fen knew that the reason he was able to survive until now was not because he was much stronger than Nan Tianjue and the others, but because Ling Wanyan still did not want to kill him. What happened to our tribulation taker? Are you so scared that you can't talk? Ling Wanyan smiled. Qin Feng's killing intent boiled. What is your purpose in doing this? We are all cultivators of the divine supreme continent, yet you set up a sealing formation to prevent everyone from ascending to the celestial realm. What benefits do you get? The divine supreme continent has always been a place where the strong preys on the weak. I sealed the path to immortality and prevented other cultivators from ascending to immortality because I wanted to strengthen the Kobe Gate. At the same time, the other Supremes are unable to ascend to immortality, but I have already stepped into the ranks of immortals. Do you think I have obtained any benefits? Ling Wanyan said. Qin Fen was furious. You disregarded the lives of billions of cultivators on the divine continent just for your own strength. Don't you feel hurt? Haha, heart pain? Now that I've stepped into the ranks of immortals, there's immortal chi flowing in my body, and I have the bloodline of a golden immortal. My internal organs have long degenerated and disappeared, and you're talking about heartache with me? Qin Feng realized that a few words couldn't change Ling Wanyan's stubborn mind, so he changed the topic. How did the system come about? It's a long story. It's better if you don't know. You know Earth? Earth? Ling Wanyan was stunned. What kind of plane is that? Qin Feng didn't expect that Ling Wanyan didn't know about Earth. So, how did the system appear on Earth? Also, who was the one behind the merging of the planes? Any other questions? If not, I'll send you to heaven. Ling Wanyan sneered. But before he could act, Qin Fen slashed down with his saber. The purple light appeared and instantly enveloped the entire sky above the Kodo Gate. The Ashing Ruler Strike was one of Qin Feng's sure-kill techniques. The ferocious saber chi tumbled down like a huge saber chopping down. However, when Ling Wanyan raised his hand, the saber chi dissipated as if it had never appeared. Qin Feng naturally did not think that he could kill Ling Wanyan with 1 slash, so he followed up with a 2nd slash. The sword split open the sky, and the rainbow light rolled up the clouds and mist, as if stirring up the world. The cultivators of the Kobe sect were dumbfounded and screamed. However, Ling Wanyan did not even bat an eyelid. With a raise of his hand, the surging sword light disappeared. After 2 waves of attacks, Qin Fen's quintessential essence was severely depleted. He did not slash out a 3rd time. Instead, he activated his divine sense and released his domain. A strong magnetic field rippled and instantly enveloped heaven and earth. The cultivators' expressions suddenly turned sluggish, as if they were puppets whose divine sense had been extracted. Qin Fen immediately gathered his divine sense and slashed out. The divine sense blade went straight for Ling Wanyan's divine sense. However, it suddenly stopped, as if it had encountered an invisible obstruction. You want to kill me with a mere domain? You're too naive. Ling Wanyan's expression was calm, as if he was not affected by the domain. When he activated his divine sense, the domain formed by Qin Fen instantly collapsed as if space had collapsed. A sharp pain came from Qin Fen's divine sensei. At this moment, Qin Fen could clearly feel death, as if it was within his reach. At the same time, he also felt Ling Wanyan's strength, which made him feel hopeless. Everything seemed to be over. The Millennium Tribulation, the Divine Continent, cultivation, and all kinds of distracting thoughts flashed through Qin Fen's mind like a dream. Back on Earth, Qin Fen had heard that the moment of death, people would recall their life's past. He seemed to be experiencing the last radiance of the setting sun.
Boom.
A loud explosion sounded in his ears, but Qin Fen did not feel his body explode. The violent explosion's aftermath knocked him into a coma. When he opened his eyes again, Qin Fen was lying on a clean wooden bed. A beautiful woman in a plain dress sat beside the bed. She looked very similar to Qin Fen. "Where am I? I'm not dead?" Qin Fen sat up with difficulty. Even the slightest movement caused a piercing pain in his body. The elegant woman's eyes glowed with love. "You're not dead. This is the Lin family. My name is Lin Susu." Qin Fen's expression changed instantly. He even forgot about the pain in his body. The name Lin Susu had long been engraved in the depths of his mind because it was his mother's name. You're my mother?" Qin Fen's voice was filled with excitement. Lin Susu's body trembled slightly. She reached out to touch Qin Fen's face and said, "That's right, child. I'm your mother. I didn't expect you to come to the Divine Continent. You must have suffered a lot these years." Ever since Qin Fen obtained the system and became stronger, he had never stopped looking for his mother. He went from Earth to the outer martial world, then to the inner hidden sects, then to the micro-world, and finally to the Eastfield continent of the Divine Continent. Qin Fen thought that he had died in the battle with Ling Wanyan. He never thought that not only was he still alive, but he also saw his mother, whom he had been searching for many years. "I finally found you. Fortunately, I didn't give up. Are you really my mother? I'm not dreaming, am I?" At this moment, Qin Fen, who had stepped into the peak of the true God realm, was as nervous as a child. He didn't dare to close his eyes, afraid that he would wake up from the dream if he opened them again. He also didn't dare to breathe too heavily. What if he blew his mother apart? Lin Susu didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she saw Qin Fen's silly look. "You're not dreaming. We've been separated for many years. Today, we're finally reunited." Qin Fen carefully reached out and touched Lin Susu's face. He could feel the warmth on his palm. This was not a dream. "Did you save me, mother? How did you escape from Ling Wanyan? How did you know that I went to the Kobe faction?" Qin Fen had countless questions. Lin Susu's eyes were filled with love. She patiently said, "The Divine Continent's Millennium Crisis has arrived. Ling Wanyan is the main culprit. He set up a sealing formation on the Divine Continent to prevent cultivators from ascending to immortality. That day, the Lin family planned to kill their way to the Kobe faction and fight Ling Wanyan to the death. When we arrived, we saw you fighting with Ling Wanyan. I immediately recognized that you were Feng. So I joined forces with the Lin family disciples to save you." Qin Fen didn't need to ask to know how difficult it was to save someone from Ling Wanyan's hands. It was obvious that countless Lin family disciples had died in that battle. "But father said that you left when I was born. It's been almost 30 years. How could mother recognize me at a glance?" Qin Fen was puzzled. Lin Susu explained, "It's because you have the Hedonist sovereign system. I left it for you." Chapter 2168. The Hedonist Sovereign System. Mother can sense its existence? Qin Fen was shocked. "I'm not the only one who can sense its existence. Everyone in the Lin family can sense it." "Why is that?" Qin Fen was puzzled. Lin Susu's eyes widened as she recalled. The Lin family's founding ancestor was called Lin Chuxiao. He was the legendary Grand Tao Ultimate God in the Divine Continent. Because of his unique lightning tribulation, the founding ancestor was hindered by the heavenly axiom and could not ascend to immortality. Left with no choice, he tore open the void and tried to break through the barrier to enter the immortal realm. Qin Fen listened attentively. He learned something unexpected. The Lin family that his mother belonged to was the descendant of Lin Chuxiao. Did Senior Lin Chuxiao succeed? Qin Fan couldn't help but ask. Lin Susu nodded. Yes, he did. According to the token he left behind, he tore open the void and entered the immortal realm. However, he was immediately besieged by cultivators in the immortal realm. Later, he took away the treasures in the immortal realm and tore open the void and left. He didn't return to the Divine Land. Instead, he went to a strange place called the Divine Land. The spiritual energy there was much worse than the cultivation wasteland of the northern sand continent. He only stayed there for a short while. When he recovered, he tore open the void and went to Earth again. Earth? Senior Lin Chuxiao went to Earth? Qin Fan exclaimed.
Yes.
Our founder went to Earth. Lin Susu continued. Because our ancestor had stayed on the Divine Land and the Earth, the Lin family kept sending disciples to those two realms to look for his remains and the items he left behind. No one knows if our ancestor is still alive. Only when we find his remains can we make a conclusion. I was one of the last people who went to Earth to look for him. When I arrived on Earth, I was separated from the rest of the family. Then, I met your father, Gu Qin, and Emperor Qin of the Qin family. Because of the interference of the Earth's magnetic field, my true essence was hindered, so I was chased by a group of low-level cultivators on Earth. Later, the secret that I have the system's inheritance was exposed. All the cultivators in the Chinese martial arts world were after me. I had no choice but to leave you on Earth and escape with the space-splitting talisman. I didn't expect to be teleported to the Divine Land. Later, because of the plane fusion, I returned to the Divine Land. Lin Susu said a lot of things, and Qin Feng found it hard to digest them all. So it was Senior Lin Chuxiao who tore through the void and came to Earth. Then, some of the cultivation treasures on Earth were probably left behind by Lin Chuxiao. There was also the system inheritance, which Lin Chuxiao had left for his clansmen. Could it be that the system is the supreme treasure that Senior Lin took from the immortal world? Qin Fan suddenly realized something. Lin Susu nodded and said, Yes. Back then, the ancestral master obtained the legacy of the system in the immortal world and was chased by the cultivators of the immortal world. After he left the immortal world, he left the legacy of the system in the Divine Land and Earth. Later, the Lin family found the legacy and passed it down from generation to generation. The mystery of the origin of the system was solved. It turned out to be a kind of cultivation inheritance in the immortal world. However, there were still many things that Qin Fan couldn't understand. He continued to ask, why does Ling Wanyan also have the system inheritance? He also found Senior Lin's keepsake? Lin Susu shook her head. Ling Wanyan's and the Lin family's inheritance are not the same. According to the Lin family's speculation, Ling Wanyan had also stepped into the immortal world and learned a kind of immortal inheritance. Then, like the ancestral master, he had no choice but to return to the Divine Land. Every kind of immortal inheritance was extremely powerful. It was not something that the cultivation world's martial skills and cultivation methods could compare to. Whether it was Lin Chuxiao or Ling Wanyan, they could only escape after stepping into the immortal world. Qin Fan instantly understood many things. No wonder Ling Wanyan wanted to set up a sealing formation on the Divine Land. He knew that he could not make a name for himself in the immortal world, so he wanted to rule the Divine Land. He would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Then, between Senior Lin and Ling Wanyan, who obtained the more powerful legacy? That's hard to say. Until now, the Lin family has not seen Lin Chuxiao use the legacy. He has already stepped into the immortal world, and his cultivation alone is enough to suppress the entire Divine Land. Lin Susu said. Qin Fan's mind spun, and he had some new questions. Mother, I met a powerful system inheritor on Earth. His name is Ling Jiutian. Why did he appear on Earth? Because Ling Jiutian was originally a disciple of the Lin family. What? He was from the Lin family? Then why did he go against me and Mother? Qin Fan was surprised. Lin Susu sighed. Ling Jiutian was one of the disciples who went to Earth with me to search for the ancestral master. He later betrayed the Lin family and wanted to rule the earth. He changed his surname and was originally called Lin Jiutian. Qin Fen was shocked. He immediately made a bold guess. Could it be that Ling Wanyan is related to the Lin family? Or is it a coincidence? Lin Susu said, "Your guess is correct. Ling Wanyan was originally a disciple of the Lin family. To be precise, I should call him Master." He refused to search for the ancestral master because he thought it was a waste of time, so he was expelled by the Lin family. After leaving the Lin family, Ling Wanyan founded the Kobe faction and quickly gained a foothold in the Eastfield continent. Later, he had a heaven-defying opportunity and stepped into the immortal world and obtained the inheritance. The first thing he did when he returned to the Divine Continent was to suppress the Lin family. Qin Fen heard from Nantianju and the others that the Lin family was a 9-star aristocratic family in the past and stood among the top forces of the Divine Continent. However, it gradually declined, and one of the factors must be related to Ling Wanyan's suppression. "Mother, what's the matter with the planes merging?" "I don't know, but the Lin family suspected that the planes merging had something to do with the Ancestral Master. When the Ancestral Master fell to Earth, it was difficult for him to return to the Divine Continent, so he set up a Level 9 formation on Earth and wanted to fly to the Divine Continent through it. Later on, I found the Array formation on Earth. The aura of the Array formation was very weak. It had been at least 1,000 years, and the spiritual energy on Earth was unable to support the operation of the Array formation. The Array formation had probably completely collapsed, causing the magnetic field to be in disorder and the phenomenon of a few planes merging. It was only Lin Susu's personal speculation, but it was possible. Now that the Divine Continent is in deep trouble, Ling Wanyan wants to slaughter the cultivators of other sections. They either submit to the Kobe faction or be killed. Lin Susu's expression was solemn. "Do we have a chance of winning?" Qin Fen had fought with Ling Wanyan before, so he did not have a trace of hope. Lin Susu said, "There was no chance before, but now that you're here, there's a glimmer of hope. First, set a small goal. For example, remember in 1 second. Booksellers Mobile." Chapter 2169. What does that have to do with me? Qin Fen was surprised. Lin Susu nodded vigorously. "That's right. Only you can defeat Ling Wanyan. But I've fought him, and I'm no match for him." Qin Fen was silent for a moment before he continued. "Is it because I'm the one undergoing the tribulation? I'm starting to doubt the authenticity of the person undergoing the tribulation. Is this an identity made up by someone, or is it fate?" Lin Susu said seriously, "The person undergoing the tribulation is not a rumor. This is the person appointed by the heavenly axiom. There are people undergoing the tribulation every 1,000 years, and the unique thing about them is the lightning tribulation they trigger when they break through. If you trigger the lightning tribulation, then you must be the one facing it." Qin Fen nodded. "There's no doubt that I triggered the 9 changes true lightning, but I don't have the strength or the means to defeat Ling Wanyan." Lin Susu looked excited. "Feng Air, can you really trigger the 9 changes true lightning? That's enough. Do you know how our ancestor tore the space apart and entered the immortal world?" Qin Fen shook his head. "When our ancestor was about to break through the immortal world, he forcibly triggered the lightning tribulation and used its power to tear the space apart," said Lin Susu. Qin Fen was shocked. Using the lightning tribulation to tear the space apart and break through the heavenly axiom's obstruction? Is that the true function of the lightning tribulation? Lin Susu was also confused, but she was inclined to believe Qin Fen's guess. There's a saying on the Divine Continent that those who can trigger the lightning tribulation were all supreme divine lords in their previous lives. Their abilities were envied by the heavenly axiom, and they were eventually struck by the lightning tribulation and fell to the mortal world. These lightning tribulations are both obstacles and opportunities. When the divine lords bear the power of the lightning tribulation and tear the space apart, they can become enemies with the heavenly axiom. Enemies with the heavenly axiom. Qin Fen murmured to himself. He had never thought of becoming enemies with the heavenly axiom. He only hoped to find his mother on the divine continent and bring her and the others back to Earth. Now that he had finally found his mother, Qin Feng's wish was mostly fulfilled. What he needed to do now was to find a way to defeat Ling Wanyan and leave the divine continent as soon as possible. In other words, if I can forcefully tear the space apart, I can enter the immortal world? Qin Feng seemed to understand what Lin Susu meant. That's right. This is the only way to defeat Ling Wanyan. The reason why Ling Wanyan sealed the path to heaven is to prevent the tribulation taker from ascending to immortality. Lin Susu said. Qin Feng suddenly realized that he still had a long way to go. According to his mother, the tribulation taker was already hindered by the heavenly Tao. Now that Ling Wanyan had set up the sky sealing formation, it was even more difficult. Lin Susu seemed to see through Qin Feng's apprehension. She patted his head and said, "Feng, I never thought that we, mother and son, would be reunited under such circumstances. I know that your mission is very important, but you don't have to be afraid. You are not fighting alone. The entire Lin family will help you." Qin Feng nodded his head vigorously. Lin Susu continued, "The Lin clan has always known about the tribulation taker and has never stopped searching for one. We have prepared sufficient cultivation resources for you to step onto the immortal path. Mother, there's no time to lose. I'm going to go into seclusion now." Qin Feng's confidence was reignited. Lin Susu brought Qin Feng to meet the members of the Lin clan. The once glorious Lin clan was a 9-star sect. Now there were less than 1,000 disciples left in the sect. Under the guidance of the Lin clan's current patriarch, Lin Chong, Qin Feng, and the others came to a secluded cave. When they reached the entrance, Lin Chong said to Qin Feng, "Young hero Qin, this is a secluded cultivation place for generations of patriarchs. There are sufficient cultivation resources inside. You can rest assured and go into seclusion to break through to the immortal path. All the disciples of the Lin clan will guard you outside." Qin Feng's heart was heavy. Not only did he have the Lin clan's hope on his shoulders, but he also had to bear the heavy responsibility of the divine continent's survival. When they walked into the cave, a familiar aura surged. Qin Feng arrived at an open-air cave and was stunned by the scene in front of him. The cave was filled with stones. At first, Qin Feng thought that they were supreme-grade spirit stones, but after a closer look, he found that they were all immortal stones. The quality of the immortal stones in the open-air cave was very high, similar to the immortal stones used in the Immortal Stone Formation. With so many immortal stones, it was enough for any cultivator to step into the true God realm. However, the Lin clan did not use them for themselves. Clearly, they were reserved for those who were going through the heavenly tribulation. Qin Feng immediately sat down with his legs crossed. There was a burning flame in his heart. He told himself that this battle was unavoidable and he must win. Qin Feng activated the creation of heaven and earth skill, and the robust true essence in his body began to revolve slowly. The immortal stones seemed to sense something, and the immortal qi it contained surged out, quickly forming an immortal qi vortex. There was a 9 heavens spirit gathering formation in the open-air cave. The formation's aura was ancient. It must have been set up by the Lin clan's current patriarch, which saved Qin Feng some effort. In fact, when Qin Feng was in the time pocket world, he had been stuck at the peak of the true God realm for nearly 100 years. It was not because of his own reasons that he could not step into the immortal world, but because of the environment and the heaven sealing formation. In just 3 days, the true essence in Qin Feng's body had reached a saturated state. He felt his body begin to swell, and his divine will had received an unprecedented impact, as if it would explode at any time. This was not the first time Qin Feng had experienced such a feeling. Back in the time pocket world, he had reached the critical point of breaking through to the immortal path countless times, but in the end, he had failed. However, this time, Qin Feng was not really going to ascend to the immortal realm. After learning the true meaning of the Shirkill Thunder Tribulation from his mother, he planned to force out the breakthrough point of his body and then forcibly draw out the Thunder Tribulation. Then, he would use the power of the Thunder Tribulation to tear the void and step into the immortal world. This was an extremely complicated and difficult operation, but Qin Feng had no way out. He could only succeed, and failure was not allowed. Crackle. That torturous feeling lasted for a long time. Finally, the first thunder tribulation fell on top of Qin Feng's head. As soon as the thunder tribulation appeared, Qin Feng was shocked. In order to reach the peak of the true God realm, he did not know how many Shirkill thunder tribulations he had experienced during this period. However, the effect of the thunder tribulation became weaker as he broke through to the later stages. However, this time, the thunder tribulation was as thick as the trunk of a big tree. It was like a ball of purple fire that fell fiercely. Qin Feng was not prepared at all. He immediately raised his true essence and waved his saber to meet it. When the Tsang Qi fell, the two purple rainbows collided, and the cave abode shook violently. It felt as if the mountain was about to collapse. The attack of the Tsang Qi was not as powerful as the thunder tribulation. When the lightning fell to the ground, it immediately exploded and created a huge pit. Qin Feng's clothes exploded, and his true essence shield was instantly shattered. He fell to the ground and vomited blood. First, set a small goal. For example, remember in 1 second. Booksellers Mobile. Chapter 2170. This was only the first lightning strike. When Qin Fen looked up at the sky, more than a dozen purple fireballs fell from the sky. Such a powerful lightning strike was beyond Qin Fen's expectation. He did not even prepare the thunder storage array. But in the next second, Qin Fen realized that he was not going to transcend the tribulation. He was going to use the force of the lightning strike to tear the void. But a new problem arose. How could he use the force of the lightning strike? This was a very complicated and difficult problem. Qin Fen tried to fly up to the sky and change the direction of the lightning strike. If the lightning struck the void, he might have a chance to break the seal. But before he could step on his sword, several lightning strikes fell from the sky and blasted Qin Fen into the pit. The pit was so deep that it seemed to reach the earth's core. At the same time, thousands of Lin clan disciples gathered outside the open-air cave. They looked up at the sky and were shocked by the turbulent sea of lightning. What a fierce lightning strike! Is this a deadly lightning strike? How could anyone survive such a destructive lightning strike? Will young hero Qin be okay? Feng Air. Mom believes you can get through it. You must get through it. All of them prayed that Qin Fen would be able to smoothly tear open the void and step into the immortal plane. At that critical moment, a clump of black clouds floated over from afar. A formidable aura surged out from within the clouds. It was a group of cultivators. Oh no! The people from the Kobe faction are here. All Lin clan disciples, listen up. Protect young hero Qin to the world of immortals. The thousands of Lin clan disciples immediately got into formation, ready to attack at any time. The cloud dispersed in the open space 1,000 meters away. Countless cultivators landed on the ground. Whether it was in terms of numbers or cultivation, they were far superior to the Lin clan's side.
Ha ha ha.
Junior brother Lin Chong, long time no see. An old voice seemed to come from all directions, reverberating in everyone's mind. Some of the disciples' divine sense, felt a sharp pain. Lin Chong stared at the void and said coldly, Ling Wanyan, you betrayed your sect and set up the sky-sealing formation to prevent the divine continent's cultivators from ascending to the world of immortals. You are wicked beyond redemption. Ling Wanyan's figure did not appear, but his voice sounded again.
Ha!
Wicked beyond redemption? That's just an excuse for you weaklings. The divine continent has always been a place where only the strong are respected. Strength is the truth. If I'm really heinous, why haven't I received your so-called retribution yet? On the contrary, I'm the only immortal sovereign on the divine continent. You're like ants in my eyes. I can destroy you if I want to. Ling Wanyan was extremely arrogant, but he did have the capital to be arrogant. The disciples of the Lin clan were filled with anger. They knew better than anyone else about Ling Wanyan's betrayal of the Lin clan. It's not that I won't, It's just that it's not time yet. Someone will deal with you eventually, Lin Chong said firmly. How long are you weaklings going to deceive yourselves? Since you can't deal with me, you've placed your hopes in your fantasies. Unfortunately, I'm afraid you won't be able to see your dreams come true in your lifetime, said Ling Wanyan. Nothing is impossible in the divine continent, and no one can be invincible forever. Even if I can't see it, I believe that day will come sooner or later. Humph, what a bunch of stubborn fellows. The reason why the Lin family has fallen from being a 9-star sect to a 2nd-tier or 3rd-tier force is because of your stubbornness and lack of ambition. Ling Wanyan was a little angry. Lin Chong was even angrier. You still have the nerve to bring this up? If you hadn't betrayed the Lin clan, taken away a large number of disciples, and established the Kobe faction to fight against the Lin clan wouldn't have fallen to this state. If the patriarch was still here, he would definitely destroy your soul. A gust of wind suddenly blew in the sky, and Ling Wanyan's figure emerged. His body was shrouded in a layer of moonlight, and it was difficult to see his facial expression. However, from his angry voice, one could tell that his emotions had changed. Shut up. Don't use Lin Chuxiao to pressure me. He's long dead, and even his body has been eroded. Even if he's still alive, he's just an immortal sovereign like me. Why would I be afraid of that old thing? The faces of the Lin clan disciples turned cold. Lin Chong said angrily, no matter how high your cultivation is, you're still part of the Lin clan. It's fine if you don't know how to repay kindness, but you still dare to disrespect the patriarch. In the end, even the heavenly Tao won't tolerate you. What's the heavenly Tao? I'm going to beat it by half a step and become its enemy. Ling Wanyan revealed a crazed expression and suddenly slapped down the mountain. As for you people who worship the heavenly Tao, die. Rumble. Instantly, a row of mountains collapsed. Hundreds of Lin clan disciples couldn't dodge in time and died tragically in the surging spiritual essence explosion. Lin Chong immediately threw out several formation flags, activating the defensive formation outside the open-air cave dwelling. An extremely ancient aura surged out from the formation. It was actually a level 9 ancient formation. It had been passed down since Lin Chuxiao founded the Lin clan. When the formation was formed, the Lin clan disciples immediately hid inside. Ling Wanyan slapped several times, and the ferocious palm force seemed to be able to destroy the world, but it didn't break the formation wall. Humph. You want to save your lives with a mere level 9 formation? You're really naive ants. Ling Wanyan roared, and a unique aura surged out from his body. The aura was like the morning fog, falling from the sky like a waterfall. The level 9 ancient formation was immediately hit hard, and the attacks were like waves, one after another. Every time the aura hit the formation wall, it would cause the entire ancient formation and the valley to shake violently. An hour later, a loud noise came from the formation wall, and a crack appeared. Rumble. After the crack appeared, the surging aura was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, and it immediately exploded in the formation. The loud noise was earth-shattering. The Lin clan disciples were trapped in the formation, and they were instantly destroyed. Ling Wanyan, you old bastard. I'll kill you. Seeing that there were only a few disciples left, Lin Chong madly rushed into the sky. He slashed down with his palm like a saber, immediately drawing a dividing line in the void. However, the seemingly ferocious saber aura was easily neutralized by Ling Wanyan's hand. At the same time, Ling Wanyan slashed down with his palm, and a white light shot out from his hand. The saber aura instantly expanded, as if the entire sky was falling. A loud noise spread. Lin Chong had been killed by a saber, and the Lin clan disciples were disheartened. The difference in power between the two sides was too great, and there was no suspense in this battle. However, no one retreated. When the crowd regained their senses, they immediately rushed into the sky and attacked. Even though they knew that they would die, their mission was to help Qinfen delay the fairy realm. As long as Qinfen could successfully enter the fairy realm, their deaths would be worth it. First, set a small goal. For example, remember in 1 second. Booksellers Mobile. Chapter 2171. Hundreds of figures flew into the sky at the same time. Every disciple of the Lin clan did not hold back and attacked with all their might. In an instant, the sky above the Lin clan's valley was shrouded by the shadows of swords and blades, as if doomsday had arrived. All the attacks were aimed at Ling Wanyan, but Ling Wanyan was floating in the sky with no intention of retreating. He just raised his hand lightly, and like a cool breeze, those attacks disappeared. A realm. This is a small world. An elder of the Lin clan stood in the air in shock. Grand Elder of Lin City, what is a realm? Many disciples of the Lin clan did not know. The elder said solemnly, cultivators on the divine supreme mainland will comprehend the realms of realm, field, and domain as their realms advance. The disciples of the Lin clan had heard of realm, field, and domain, but they were unfamiliar with the concept of a realm. The Grand Elder continued, realms are formed after comprehending the first 3 realms. Normally, only those who have entered the immortal path can comprehend it. Once a realm is formed, it can create a small world on its own. The size of the world varies according to the cultivator's level of comprehension. From Ling Wanyan's realm, it can be seen that his small world is not big. He must have comprehended the realm, but even if he has touched the threshold of the realm, it is still not something we can deal with. The disciples of the Lin clan were shocked after listening to the Grand Elder. Even if they did not understand the realm, they knew the concept of a small world. Small worlds were rare on the divine supreme mainland. They were treasures left behind from ancient times. Even if ordinary cultivators came across one, they could not refine it or use it. Small worlds could be seen as other planes that existed outside of the divine supreme mainland. If Ling Wanyan could create a small world at will, did that mean he could transfer anything to other planes? No wonder everyone's attacks were instantly neutralized by him. Ling Wanyan could really create a realm. Facing an immortal venerable who could create a realm, the disciples of the Lin clan felt hopeless. Even their last bit of fighting spirit had dissipated. Humph. I didn't think there would be someone among you ants who could recognize a realm. It seems that I have underestimated the Lin clan. Ling Wanyan's tone was sarcastic. The disciples of the Lin clan were no longer in the mood to refute. Lin Susu stood up and said, brothers and sisters, we cannot lose faith. Even if we die today, we must die a worthy death. Don't forget our mission. The eyes of the Lin family, disciples gradually regained their luster. Ling Wanyan sneered and struck a palm at the sky. You're really a bunch of reckless ants. Since you want to die so badly, I'll fulfill your wish. This is also my way of repaying you for kicking me out of the sect. If I hadn't left the Lin clan, I wouldn't have embarked on the path of immortals to rule the entire divine continent. Rumble. When Ling Wanyan's palm landed, it was as if the entire space was about to collapse. The Lin clan's disciples couldn't even withstand a single blow, and all of them died tragically. There were some disciples who managed to escape from the explosion, but they were killed by the chaotic sword chi as they flew into the air. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. This was a complete massacre. Lin Susu's eyes welled up with tears as she watched her fellow disciples fall one after another. She clenched her teeth and tried to rush to Ling Wanyan's side to fight him to the death. However, as soon as the idea came to her mind, several beams of sword light pierced through her body and exploded her nascent soul. In less than an hour, over 1,000 disciples of the Lin clan had all fallen. The valley of the Lin clan flowed with blood, like a river. The once glorious and prosperous 9-star sect had now been completely annihilated. Moreover, the ones who had annihilated the sect were the disciples of the Lin clan who had left back then. Qin Fen was still in seclusion in the open-air cave. He had put all his energy into cultivating the fairy realm, so he had no idea what was happening outside. After some hard work, Qin Fen finally found a breakthrough. He used his domain to find the rhythm of the Thunder Test's magnetic field, and then he used his domain's magnetic field to resonate with the Thunder Test's magnetic field. When the two magnetic fields resonated, Qin Fen could clearly sense the existence of the Thunder Test. It was as if the Thunder Test had been magnified by thousands of times. He could even sense the flickering light and the airflow fluctuations of the thunder test clearly. Gradually, the thunder test seemed to have become Qin Fen's personal property. He could even control the direction and strength of the thunder test through his divine will. In this way, using the thunder test to bombard the sky became feasible. After Qin Fen tried to control the lightning a few times and succeeded every time, he leaped up and flew out of the open-air cave. However, when he reached the open-air cave entrance above his head, it was as if an invisible net had wrapped around him, causing him to bounce back. Qin Fen immediately realized that this open-air cave was actually the fairy stage. The sky above his head was no longer the divine continent, but the fairy realm that all cultivators dreamed of.
Crackle.
Qin Fen immediately activated his divine will. Several lightning bolts flashed and exploded in the sky. It looked like the sky was about to explode. However, the void did not change. There was not even a ripple. Qin Fen did not back down. He continued to activate his divine will to bombard the thunder test. In an instant, a sea of lightning formed in the sky. Although the thunder test's power was fierce, it seemed to be lacking something. Seeing that the thunder test was about to end, Qin Fen immediately took out a space-splitting talisman. After chanting an incantation, the talisman suddenly flew up into the sky and burned. Then, a loud noise came from the sky. It was even more earth-shattering than the thunder test. The open-air cave began to shake violently, as if it would collapse at any time. The calm sky finally began to fluctuate, and the atmosphere became extremely chaotic. Break. Qin Fen realized that his chance had come. He immediately flew up into the sky and slashed down with his saber. A purple light appeared and instantly filled the entire void. The violent explosion of saber qi caused the air to fluctuate even more violently. Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded, and a pitch-black crack appeared in the void.
Swoosh.
Qin Fen had been waiting for this moment. Without thinking, he jumped into the black hole. At the same time, the open-air cave collapsed and was flattened. The disciples of the Kobe faction looked up at the sky and were stunned by the spectacular scene of the fairy realm. What is this? It feels like the void is being torn apart. The fairy realm. Someone actually ascended to the fairy realm. Ayya. Little ant with me here, don't even think about stepping into the fairy realm. Ling Wanyan had just killed the disciples of the Lin family when he saw the scene in front of him. He immediately flew up into the sky and struck the fairy realm several times. There were explosions in the air, and another crack appeared next to the black hole. However, the two black holes gave people a completely different feeling. The previous black hole was dangerous and mysterious, giving people an inexplicable sense of awe. However, the void that Ling Wanyan cracked only gave people endless fear, because it was a completely dislocated crack space. Chapter 2172. Qin Fen glanced at the valley before entering the black hole. Blood flowed like a river in the valley of the Lin family. Remnant qi lingered in the air. It was a doomsday scene. Qin Fen was furious. He wanted to rush back and fight Ling Wanyan to the death. However, as soon as he entered the crack, his vision went black and he passed out instantly. After an unknown period of time, when Qin Fen opened his eyes again, he was in a whole new plane. In front of him was a verdant valley with tall trees. Colorful clouds floated in the blue sky. When he took a deep breath, it was no longer the smell of the divine mainland. This is immortal qi. I've already entered the immortal world? Qin Fen was pleasantly surprised. However, before he could carefully feel the aura of the immortal world, a loud noise came from the distant sky. The vast sky seemed to be dyed red with blood. There were lightning flashes and thunder rolls. Qin Fen's first thought was that it was a natural disaster. Soon, he saw two golden figures fighting fiercely in the blood-red sky. Qin Fen couldn't see through the cultivation of the two people at all, but when they clashed, it was earth-shattering. Their moves didn't have saber lights or sword shadows, and there were no true essence hand seals either. Every time they made a move, it would explode in the sky. The moment he stepped into the celestial world, Qin saw a similar black hole in the sky above the valley of the Lin family. That was Ling Wanyan's attack to stop him from flying into the celestial world. Qin now had an epiphany. This kind of black hole was actually a small world. Cultivators in the immortal world fought with their own world. When they attacked, they formed their own world in the void. Qin suddenly understood why his attack was easily broken by Ling Wanyan. It turned out that it was absorbed by the small world. Qin felt very unlucky to encounter two immortals fighting as soon as he entered the immortal world. However, he quickly realized that the two immortal venerables were busy fighting and did not seem to notice his existence. Qin did not dare to stay too long. With his current cultivation, he was just an ant in the immortal world. With a thought, Qin entered the small world of time. Before entering, he set up a hidden monitoring array outside so that he could observe the movements outside at any time. In fact, Qin wasn't interested in the battle between the two immortal venerables. It had nothing to do with him. Moreover, he was in a hurry to improve his cultivation base and return to the divine continent. When he left the Lin clan valley, he saw a river of blood. He wondered how his mother was doing. But soon, Qin encountered a problem. If he wanted to improve his cultivation in the immortal Tao, he needed the immortal Qi and immortal items in the immortal world as cultivation resources. But when he left the open-air abode, he was in too much of a hurry, so he didn't take the immortal stones in the abode with him. Now, the immortal stones in the small world had long been used up, so there were no cultivation resources available. What should we do now? Qin was anxious. Little Pig's voice echoed in his mind. Master, don't be too anxious. We can only wait for those two immortals to finish their fight. Qin had no choice but to be anxious because he didn't have much time left. Not only did he have to improve his cultivation base, but he also had to find a way to return to the divine continent. Moreover, one day in the immortal world was equivalent to the divine continent. If he returned to the divine continent, thousands of years would have passed in the immortal world. Then everything would be in vain. While Qin was feeling anxious, the monitoring array showed a golden light flying over from afar. The golden light landed at the spot where Qin entered the small world of time. It looked like a golden ring. The thought of a storage ring popped up in Qin's mind. He immediately used his divine sense to leave the small world of time. After obtaining the ring, he hid in the small world and put away the monitoring array. The two cultivators fighting in the distant sky suddenly stopped and frowned. One of them shouted, "Not good.
There's someone else nearby."
The ring was taken? The other person said. Humph. I can't sense the existence of the storage ring anymore. I'm afraid that person used an escape talisman to escape. If you didn't want to snatch the ring, how could this happen? Let's see how you explain this to the sect master. Now is not the time to argue about right and wrong. That ring contains more than half of the Xianyuan Tower's cultivation resources. If we lose it, we won't be able to escape death. Then what are we waiting for? Let's split up and look for it. The two immortal venerables didn't notice the existence of the small world of time. They didn't even fly to the ground where the storage ring fell. They just swept their immortal sea and knew that there was no ring's aura within thousands of miles. Because the monitoring array was taken away, Qin couldn't see the situation outside. However, he didn't have the mind to care about other things at the moment. After finding the seal on the ring, Qin was stunned by the rich cultivation resources inside. In fact, he had never seen most of the resources. Obviously, they were treasures that only existed in the immortal world. However, he was very familiar with the immortal stones in the storage ring. There were countless of them, like a continuous mountain range. Moreover, the immortal stones in the storage ring were of a higher grade than the immortal stones found in the divine continent. The immortal Qi inside was rich and pure. Qin only needed to use his divine will to sweep through it, and he felt that his sea of consciousness had been nourished. Master, you've struck it rich. Little Pig was also pleasantly surprised. Qin quickly suppressed his excitement and took out 2 mountains of immortal stones, an immortal pool, and a pool of immortal crystals. He jumped into the immortal pool and piled the immortal crystals around the pool. The immortal stones surrounded the pool and formed a sealed walled space. Immortal mist lingered in the space, as if he had fallen into a fairyland. Qianfen quickly entered a state of cultivation. He felt immortal qi surging through his body, and everything was about to wake up. The breakthrough of the immortal path seemed to be different from cultivation. Qianfen didn't feel like his body was expanding and about to explode. The wonderful feeling of everything being revived continued. Then, unknowingly, Qianfen seemed to have broken through and sublimated. The aura in his body became pure. Time flew by in the small world. When Qianfen opened his eyes again, 100 years had passed. He slowly stood up. His body seemed to have become weightless and naturally floated in the air. "Little pig, what realm am I in now?" Qianfen asked. The realms of the immortal path are not as simple as the cultivation realms. According to one's understanding and cultivation method, there will be countless realms. Little Pig didn't say anything. Then how long have I been in closed-door cultivation? 100 years have passed in the small world, and 3 months have passed in the divine continent. How long has it been in the immortal world? Qianfen was curious. Master is still in the small world, so I can't see the changes in the outside world. I'll know when Master gets out. Qianfen used his divine will and returned to the immortal world. The first thing he did was not to check the changes in the outside world, but to release the immortal sea to see if the 2 immortal sovereigns had left. There was no other cultivator's aura around him. Qianfen heaved a long sigh of relief. Even though he didn't know much about the immortal world, he could see that the storage ring he snatched was rich in resources. The 2 immortal sovereigns must be searching everywhere for him. Chapter 2173. Master. Only 1 month has passed in the immortal world, Little Pig suddenly said. 100 years in the pocket world, 3 months in the divine supreme continent, and only 1 month in the immortal world. This pattern made Qianfen realize something. The more mature a high-level realm was, the slower the flow of time. It was no wonder that countless great cultivators appeared in the wanton world at the beginning of the world, but as the realm slowly developed, it became harder for cultivators to improve their realms. When he figured this out, Qianfen felt like his mind had been enlightened. His realms improved again silently. This was the difference between the immortal path and the cultivation world. The advancement of the immortal path focused more on the transformation of perception and thinking, while the breakthroughs in the cultivation world mostly relied on continuous absorption of spiritual energy. Qianfen didn't know where he was in the immortal path, and he didn't plan to find a few cultivators to practice with. If he died in the immortal world, no one would be able to solve the disaster of the divine supreme continent. Although there were no auras of other immortals around, Qianfen didn't plan to stay for long. The storage ring he obtained was probably a rare resource in the immortal world. He believed that the 2 immortals wouldn't leave just like that. They might even stay here for 8 to 10 years. Qianfen immediately stepped on his flying sword and flew away. He found that his flying speed was much faster than the soaring cloud owl. Only 30 minutes after he left, 2 golden figures landed where he was previously. Someone has appeared.
Huh.
Where did that guy hide for the past month? It should be a pocket world. He actually refined a pocket world to hide in. It's obvious that he has reached the level of great accomplishment in the immortal world. If it's a great accomplishment immortal venerable from the immortal world, it'll be hard for us to deal with him. We'll probably die if we chase after him. Humph. Now that we've lost the storage ring, we've lost most of the resources in the Xianyuan Tower. If the sect master finds out, we'll still die. Let's send a flying sword message to the sect now. We'll follow that guy secretly. We just need to make sure he doesn't get lost. Qianfen didn't dare to rest. He flew for 3 days and 3 nights before he found a desolate valley to land. Now that the immortal Tao was complete, he was eager to return to the divine supreme continent to defeat Ling Wanyin. However, the biggest problem was how to return to the divine supreme continent. Back then, Senior Great Tao Ultimate God had also forcibly torn the void to come to the immortal world. Then, in order to return to the divine continent, he mistakenly entered Earth and the divine land. Qinfen did not think that his current cultivation base was higher than Lin Chuxiao's. If he forcefully tore the void again, he might very well fly into other unfamiliar planes. After several days of contemplation, Qinfeng still couldn't think of a reliable solution. At this time, Little Pig opened its mouth and said, "Master, I do have a way." Qinfeng immediately became spirited. "You stupid pig, why didn't you say so earlier? Have you been sleeping these past few days?" Little Pig looked aggrieved, as if it had something that it couldn't say. After a moment of silence, it said, "Master left a system inheritance on the divine supreme continent. It can open the gate to the immortal world through the power of the inheritance. Master can then return to the divine supreme continent." Qinfeng asked, "How do I use the power of inheritance?" First, Master needs to upgrade the system's Heroes Alliance interface to unlock the power of inheritance. Then, use the Heroes Alliance interface to contact those who have received the system's inheritance and let them release the power of inheritance, Little Pig explained. Qinfeng understood a little. No wonder Lin Chuxiao couldn't return to the Divine Supreme Continent and Ling Wanyan returned to the Divine Supreme Continent after entering the immortal world. This was because Lin Chuxiao had received the system's inheritance after coming to the immortal world. There was no one on the Divine Supreme Continent who could help him release the power of inheritance. Although Ling Wanyan also received the system after entering the immortal world, it seemed that he had already found the system's inheritance left by Lin Chuxiao on the Divine Supreme Continent. It was just that he had obtained a new system's inheritance after coming to the immortal world. After coming up with a solution, Qinfeng immediately entered the Hedonist sovereign system. Not long ago, he completed forging the immortal artifact Heavenly Rainbow, and the system rewarded him 10 million Hedonist points. Including the leftovers from before, he now had a total of 10 million Hedonist points. As for the Heroes Alliance interface, Qinfeng had long since upgraded it to the Platinum Alliance and activated the space-time gate function. If he wanted to unlock the power of inheritance, he needed to upgrade the Platinum Alliance to the Peak Sovereign Alliance. Ding! Congratulations to host Qinfeng for spending 1 million Hedonist points to upgrade the Platinum Alliance to the Diamond Alliance. Ding! Congratulations to host Qinfeng for spending 5 million Hedonist points to upgrade the Diamond Alliance to the Supreme Alliance. Host Qinfeng's total Hedonist points, 4,329,000 Hedonist points. A series of system notifications rang in the air. When the Hero's Palace was upgraded to the Supreme Alliance, the original Platinum Wall fell to the ground, and a Golden Sovereign list fell from the sky. Anyone who joined the Heroes Alliance or received the system's inheritance would have their names appear on the Sovereign list. Moreover, the list was ranked according to each person's cultivation base. The Sovereign list occupied a large portion of the sky, and the names on it were innumerable. They looked like ants imprinted on it, and at the top of the list was a dazzling golden Qinfeng. The name was so huge that it felt like a mountain was pressing down on it. Master, the power of inheritance has been activated. All you need to do is release your immortal sense, and everyone will be able to sense it. Little Pig sounded pleasantly surprised. Qinfeng immediately activated his immortal ocean. He felt the existence of a new and unique power. The power was illusory, yet real. It felt as if he could reach out and grab it, yet it was so far away. As Qinfeng's immortal ocean surged, the mysterious power became stronger and stronger. He gradually felt that he could control this power, and the power contained in it seemed endless. Junior brother, that brat has been in the immortal ocean mountain for almost a month. Is he cultivating in seclusion? The two old men who were searching for the storage ring were watching from a valley opposite. The younger old man frowned and said, "The immortal chi in the sky above the immortal ocean mountain is fluctuating strangely. That guy must be cultivating in seclusion to break through. He must have broken the seal on the golden ring. If we let him cultivate any longer, the resources in the golden ring will decrease." The two old men were impatient. If the resources in the golden ring were used up, they would also die. The The older cultivator suddenly leapt up and flew towards the immortal sea mountain. At any rate, we're going to die anyway. Let's go meet that fellow and try to buy ourselves some time. Once the sect master arrives, that fellow will die. Rumble. As soon as the old man finished speaking, he struck out with his palm. A black hole appeared out of nowhere. Dark clouds instantly churned in the sky above the immortal ocean mountain. It was a scene of destruction. Fellow Taoist, you stole the golden ring of the immortal ocean sect. If you don't return it, don't blame me for killing you. Amidst the loud explosion, the older cultivator shouted. Qin Feng was immersed in the power of inheritance. He was startled awake by the ferocious palm strike. When he raised his head to look at the sky, Qin Feng frowned. He didn't expect the two immortal sovereigns to still come looking for him. Chapter 2174. Sensing the danger, Qin Feng didn't hesitate to strike the air with his palm. The true essence hand seal floated in the air, but it suddenly exploded in midair, creating a spatial crack. The peak was the fastest to regenerate, but the spatial crack's range was very small, not even 1/10 of the old man's. His aura was also very weak, disappearing like a flash in the pan. Huh? What aura is this? So you're an ant that just stepped into the immortal realm. The old man was stunned at first, then a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Qin Feng was also stunned. Although he didn't know his current level of the immortal Tao, he was sure he had already stepped into the ranks of immortals. However, the aura of immortals had already transformed into immortal qi, so where did the true essence hand seal he struck out with just now come from? At this time, the younger cultivator also flew over. When he heard his senior brother say that Qin Feng had only just stepped into the immortal Tao, his apprehension instantly dissipated. Humph! A mere ant that just stepped into the immortal Tao dares to steal the golden ring of the ocean sky sect? You'd better return the golden ring immediately, or I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Qin Feng felt a little guilty by the two's words. From the looks of it, they had already stepped into the immortal Tao and had even achieved great success in it. He immediately thought of hiding in the small world of time, but before he could activate his immortal sea, a powerful energy wave surged in the sky above the immortal sea mountain, shaking his immortal sea to the point of excruciating pain. Not good. I've lost connection with the small world of time, Qin Feng cried out in his heart. The older cultivator laughed loudly. Ha! Last time, I let you hide in the small world. How can this old man make the same mistake again? What's the point of talking nonsense with him? Kill him with one palm and take the golden ring. The younger cultivator didn't have much patience. Seeing that Qin Feng didn't move, he slammed his palm down towards Qin Feng. The surging immortal qi instantly blasted a crack in the void. The crack was like a flying dragon, rapidly spreading towards the top of Qin Feng's head. Not only could he hide in the small world of time, he couldn't even enter the astral world. Helpless, Qin Feng could only brace himself and face the attack. When he struck out with his palm, there wasn't a trace of true essence aura. Instead, a ferocious immortal qi was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, shooting towards the sky with the momentum of a rainbow. Rumble. Explosions undulated. The younger cultivator was stunned in the sky. His eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. He didn't even have time to dodge. His body instantly exploded, turning into a wave of immortal energy. You killed junior brother pair. The old man was stunned for a few seconds before he managed to squeeze out a second sentence. How is that possible? Didn't you just enter the immortal Tao? How could he instantly kill junior brother pair, who had achieved great success in the immortal Tao? Could it be that you were hiding your strength? Qin Feng didn't understand the division of realms in the immortal Tao, but he realized that his cultivation was completely above the two people in front of him. It seemed that his 100 years of hard work in the time pocket world hadn't been in vain. As for the true essence from the first palm strike, Qin Feng guessed that it was the primordial qi left in his body before he stepped onto the immortal Tao. Because he hadn't made a move since he entered the immortal world, the primordial qi had always been stored in his body. What's greater mastery of the immortal Tao? How are the realms in the immortal world divided? Qianfen asked. The old man was even more shocked. He realized that his guess was right. The young hero in front of him had just entered the immortal world and didn't even understand the cultivation in the immortal world. But the old man couldn't understand. Since he was an ant that had just entered the immortal world, how could he instantly kill a cultivator of greater mastery of the immortal Tao? He had to be at least a grandmaster of the immortal Tao to be able to do that. Are you deaf or mute? If you don't want to tell me, then follow your junior brother. Qianfen's voice was cold, and traces of killing intent surged from his body. The old man suddenly came to his senses. Although he didn't want to accept the truth, he was really threatened by a junior that had just entered the immortal world. Young hero, please have mercy. Your question isn't easy to answer because there's no standard division of realms in the immortal world. However, the immortal Tao is divided into lesser mastery, greater mastery, grandmaster, lower immortal, upper immortal, and immortal supremacy. However, the difference in realms doesn't represent the difference in strength. In the immortal world, there are countless cases of cultivators with lower realms killing cultivators with higher realms. Then what realm do you think I should be? Qianfen asked coldly. Young hero, you must be at least a grandmaster of the immortal Tao. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to instantly kill my junior brother with immortal Qi. Didn't you say that it's common for cultivators with lower realms to kill cultivators with higher realms? Why are you so sure that my realm is higher than your junior brother's? Qianfen still didn't understand. How should I put this? Young hero, you only used immortal Qi to attack just now. Immortal Qi is the only standard to determine the level of one's realm. However, many cultivators with lower realms can still kill high-level immortals with their immortal Qi, the old man explained with great difficulty. Qianfen more or less understood. To put it simply, the immortal world didn't only focus on cultivating one's aura, but also on improving one's immortal Qi. In fact, this was also reflected in the divine supreme continent. Qianfen had lost count of how many times he had used his powerful divine sense to kill enemies above his realm. Then how long does a newcomer need to become a grandmaster of the immortal Tao? Qianfen continued to ask. He wanted to see what level his talent was in the immortal world. A normal cultivator would need at least 1,000 years, and this is under the condition that they have an endless supply of cultivation resources. If it's a cultivator with amazing talent, they could become a grandmaster in 300 to 500 years, the old man said. 1,000 years? Qianfen had only stayed in the time pocket world for 100 years, and he had already become a grandmaster of the immortal Tao. He wondered if this news would set off another storm in the immortal world if it spread to the various sections. Qianfen retracted his thoughts. He didn't have time to wander around the immortal world. The most important thing now was to return to the divine supreme continent and behead that old thief, Ling Wanyan. A loud explosion sounded in the sky above the immortal sea mountain. Qianfen only needed to raise his hand to smash the old man into pieces. Although he had just entered the immortal world, Qianfen wasn't a rookie that could be trampled on by others. He knew very well that these two people had been chasing him for a long time, and they might have even found reinforcements. After dealing with the two people from the Ocean Sky sect, Qianfen immediately changed his location and began to feel the power of inheritance again. A month later, the mysterious and powerful power became extremely clear, as if it was in Qianfen's hand. With a raise of his hand, this boundless power could blast the sky. Rumble. In the end, Qianfen waved his hand. A majestic aura surged up into the void. A moment later, a crack opened up in the sky. This crack was different from the black hole formed by the immortals' attacks. There was an extremely familiar aura in it. Qianfen immediately realized that the gate to the heavenly realm had opened. This was the crack to return to the divine supreme continent. He immediately leaped into the air. As soon as he was in midair, a strong suction force from the crack sucked him in. In an instant, his vision darkened, and he fainted from the violent space-time turbulence. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2175. One day in the immortal realm was 3 days in the divine supreme continent. When Qinfen spent 4 months in the immortal realm, a year had passed on the divine supreme continent. Over the past year, the divine world had undergone earth-shattering changes. A handful of 9-star sects had been annihilated, and many 7- and 8-star sects had been destroyed. The 4 continents were shrouded in a gray haze as if they were returning to the chaotic state of the universe. The gray haze was not emptiness, but countless celestial devouring insects that were rampaging. Suddenly, a golden light flashed across the gray sky. It was like the first ray of light since the beginning of the world. The cultivators who were running in the forest were stunned. What's that golden light? A cultivator fell from the sky. How is that possible? The 4 continents of the divine supreme continent have been invaded by celestial devouring insects. Even truth realization state powerful beings don't dare to fly in the sky. How can a cultivator fly down from the sky? Before the cultivators could recover from their shock, an even more shocking scene appeared in the sky. The black haze dispersed and a golden ray shot out. It was like the long-awaited sunlight shining on the earth. It made people want to cry. The ray expanded rapidly until it covered the entire sky. The cultivators couldn't open their eyes. Oh no! The golden ray is coming. Everyone, run for your lives. The celestial devouring insects in the sky seem to have disappeared. This golden ray can kill them. It's a person. There's a person in that golden ray. The cultivators didn't know what was going on. At this moment, the dazzling golden ray dissipated and a young man in his early 30s appeared. This is the North Sand State? The young man asked. The cultivators trembled in fear. A being that could kill celestial devouring insects was at least a true immortal state powerful being senior. Senior, you look familiar. You are City Lord Qinfen? One of the cultivators exclaimed. The young man nodded. That's right. I'm City Lord Qinfen of Hero City. Which sector you from? The cultivator who recognized Qinfen was overjoyed. He said quickly, City Lord Qin. I'm a disciple of the 4-Way Tower. When you came to the 4-Way Tower to look for Elder Su Xuanfei, I was the one who received you outside. Qinfen couldn't remember the cultivator in front of him, but he still remembered Square Tower's Elder Su. Su Xuanfei had helped him a lot in the past. Later on, to repay the Square Tower's kindness, Qinfen risked his life to go to the White Spirit Mountain to find the White Spirit Divine Bird. After that, he refined the White Spirit Pill and saved the Bright Moon Tower's master. Since you are disciples of the 4-Way Tower, why are you in this wilderness? Qinfen asked. The disciple said with a bitter expression, City Lord Qin. Those people were not disciples of the 4-Square Tower. They came from different sects, and they came in groups. The celestial insect tribulation has broken out on the divine world, and the sects and forces of the 4 continents have been destroyed. The Bright Moon Tower Master and Grand Elder Su Xuanfei of the 4-Square Tower have fallen in the battle against the celestial insects half a year ago. Now, the 4-Square Tower no longer exists, and many of its disciples have either died or fled. The other sects have also suffered the same fate. Qinfeng's expression changed drastically. He did not expect the divine world to fall in such a short period of a year. When he heard about the deaths of the Bright Moon Tower Master and Grand Elder Su Xuanfei, Qinfen had mixed feelings. The senior cultivators of the North Sand Continent have all fallen in the battle against the celestial insects. Qinfen continued to ask. The few cultivators nodded. The disciple of the 4-Square Tower said, Actually, the celestial insect tribulation this time was caused by the Kobe sect of the Eastfield continent. Now, Ling Wanyan has announced that within a year, all the sects on the divine world must submit to the Kobe sect, or else they will die. Some of the larger sects were unwilling to submit, and were the first to be annihilated. After that, many sects could not withstand the pressure, and fled to the Eastfield continent. Did the venerable experts of the 4 continents not join forces to kill Ling Wanyan? Qinfen asked. Of course they did, but Ling Wanyan's strength was too strong. Rumor has it that he has already stepped into the immortal Tao. Those senior cultivators have all fallen, and none of them survived, the disciple of the four-square tower said. Then have you heard of the Lin clan? Qin Feng became nervous. The few of them shook their heads. City Lord Qin. We have never heard of the Lin clan. What kind of force is that? Qin Feng had a bad feeling in his heart. The Lin clan was probably annihilated the moment he stepped into the immortal world a year ago. Did his mother die? Or did she escape? Qin Feng did not stay any longer. He turned into a golden light and disappeared into the distance. When the few cultivators came back to their senses, they could no longer feel his presence. Is that really City Lord Qin? A cultivator asked. The disciple of the four-square tower said, Of course it's true. City Lord Qin is the #1 cultivator in the North Sand continent. I can recognize him even if he turns into ashes. He must have come out of seclusion. I wonder if he can resolve the calamity of the divine world. This City Lord Qin is so powerful. The moment he appeared, the celestial devouring insects that filled the sky disappeared. I believe he can defeat Ling Wanyan. Qin Feng's mind was filled with worry for his mother's safety. However, he still went to Hero City first. He wondered how Lin Bei and the others were doing. Before he reached the foot of Hero City, Qin Feng used the immortal ocean to scan the scene of Hero City thousands of miles away. He frowned. The once prosperous and magnificent Hero City no longer existed. The buildings had collapsed, and the place was deserted. It had become a wasteland. Qin Feng immediately sped up and rushed over. When the immortal ocean covered the entire Hero City, he could not find a single person. Did they move away? Qin Feng was anxious. Little Pig suddenly said, Master, they didn't leave. What do you mean? Qin Feng could feel Little Pig's depressed mood and realized that something bad had happened. Master, they are all dead. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you itching for a beating after a few days? Qin Feng suddenly flew into a rage. Little Pig lowered its head and choked with sobs for the first time in front of Qin Feng. Master, they are really dead. When the power of inheritance appeared, they had already disappeared. Because the price of the power of inheritance is their lives. You stupid pig, why didn't you tell me earlier? Qin Feng was on the verge of losing his mind. He could not accept the death of Lin Bei, Lu Jie, and the others. If he knew the price of the power of inheritance was their lives, he would never have opened the Supreme Alliance. At that time, Master was in the immortal world and was in a hurry to return to the divine Supreme Continent to stop Ling Wanyan. The only way to stop him was to activate the power of inheritance. I didn't tell you the secret of the power of inheritance because I knew if I told you, Master wouldn't activate the power of inheritance. If that happened, the divine Supreme Continent would still be destroyed, and Master's friends and family would die. Moreover, the power of inheritance was voluntarily provided. In other words, Lin Bei and the others chose to transform the power of inheritance to help Master return even though they knew the price of their lives. They placed all their hopes on Master. Master, you must pull yourself together and defeat Ling Wanyan. Chapter 2176. Nantianju and the other honorable martial artists were dead. Then the Lin clan was annihilated. Now, all the top honorable martial artists of the 4 continents were killed. Everyone who joined the Hero Alliance was willing to be sacrificed and turned into the power of inheritance. Everything happened too suddenly. Qin Feng had no time to prepare. Even though he had become an immortal venerable and his state of mind was as calm as still water, he couldn't help but feel shocked. He couldn't help but wonder, what was the point of all this effort? In the end, he could only watch as his friends and family died one by one. Even if he killed Ling Wanyan and conquered the entire divine land, what was the point? Being invincible was so lonely. Qin Feng deeply understood the meaning of this sentence. When you reached the peak and looked back, your companions were no longer there. There was no one to share your happiness and sorrow with. Master, you can't give up. You can't give up either. Although everyone's sacrifice was voluntary, It was because of their unconditional trust in Master. They knew that Master would avenge them. They knew that they died a worthy death. If Master can't recover from this setback, everyone's death would be a meaningless sacrifice. Little Pig tried his best to persuade Qin. Qin's blood gradually surged from the bottom of his heart. In the end, it boiled and burned like a volcano erupting. A golden light appeared in the sky above the North Sand continent. The golden light was barely visible in the dusky sky, like a tiny boat in a tsunami. It was this ray of golden light that possessed an unimaginable vitality. Its light did not dissipate and was rapidly expanding to cover the entire heaven realm of the Northern Sand region. When the golden light penetrated through the clouds and landed on the ground, a magnificent scene of golden clouds appeared in the sky. Look, what's that?
Light.
The North Sand continent has finally seen light in a year. City Lord Qin has made his move. I knew City Lord Qin would have a way. Hundreds of millions of cultivators in the entire North Sandland looked up at the sky at the same time. They were all attracted by the magnificent scene in the sky. Qin stood in the air, releasing his immortal sea, enveloping an area of 10,000 miles. When his immortal sense changed, the golden light instantly transformed into a new world. No matter how powerful the devouring insects were, they instantly vanished from the divine mainland the moment they entered the new world. At this moment, Qin understood one thing. It was rumored that these devouring immortal insects originated from the immortal world and were extremely powerful there. But in reality, this wasn't the case because immortals had already started to comprehend the existence of worlds. As long as an immortal lord possessed a world, they would be able to destroy the devouring immortal insects with their immortal sense. These insects were insignificant in the immortal world, but they were deadly weapons on the divine supreme mainland. Ling Wanyan must have brought so many immortal insects back from the immortal world. Qin had turned into the bane of the immortal bugs. Wherever he appeared, the immortal bugs within a range of 10,000 li had no place to hide. All of them were teleported to an unknown space. Half a month later, all the celestial devouring bugs in the Northern Sand region had been wiped out by Qin alone. He did not stop and immediately flew to the South Flat region. The Northern Sand region had returned to its former glory. The sky was blue, and the spiritual qi was dense. The news of Qin's appearance had already spread like a clap of thunder across the continent. City Lord Qin has come out of seclusion. As soon as he came out, he destroyed the celestial devouring bugs that filled the sky. I wonder what realm he's in now. Could he have already stepped into the immortal path? A few years ago, young hero Qin used the power of the Sea of Lightning to cover half of the Northern Sand region and repelled the beast tide. Now, he released the golden light and dispersed all the celestial devouring bugs in the sky above the Northern Sand region. He's like an immortal descending to the mortal world. With Senior Qin here, the calamity of the divine mainland will be easily resolved. Qin could not hear the discussions. He had already flown out of the Northern Sand region and was speeding towards the fallen God Sea. Ever since he stepped into the immortal path, he did not even need the flying cloud all. Now, his speed was much faster than the flying cloud, all just by relying on his immortal qi. When he stepped into the airspace of the fallen God Sea again, Qin had mixed feelings. He still remembered the first time he stepped into the fallen God Sea. It was with the flying ship of the Soaring Dragon Merchant Guild. Later on, he used the flying cloud all to cross the fallen God Sea to return to the Northern Sand region. Along the way, he encountered many dangers and almost died in the hands of the demon cultivators. Now that he stepped into the fallen God Sea again, there was not a single demon cultivator on the billions of islands. He was like a ferocious dragon crossing the river. The black fog behind him dispersed the clouds and revealed the sun. In the past, it would have taken him 3 months to travel. This time, Qin only used half a month to step into the territory of the Southern Flat Continent. The situation in the Southern Flat Continent was worse than the Northern Sand region. The once bustling cities were now in ruins. The entire continent was shrouded in black fog. It was as if they had fallen into hell. Qianfen flew for thousands of miles in the southern flat continent, but did not see a single person. He knew that most of the cultivators were eaten by the celestial devouring bugs. Some cultivators chose to submit to Kobe. Even if there were cultivators who survived, they were either fleeing or living in seclusion. The celestial devouring bugs seemed to have disappeared. What nonsense are you talking about? Those bugs are more tenacious than cockroaches. Their reproduction ability is terrifying. Once they occupy the southern flat continent, they will only become stronger. How could they disappear? They really disappeared. I see the blue sky and white clouds. Even the spiritual energy is recovering. The cultivators in the southern flat continent were in an uproar. No one knew about Qianfen's arrival. However, the changes he brought to the southern flat continent could be seen everywhere. Qianfen did not stop. After the southern flat continent's crisis was resolved, he immediately rushed to the West Sea continent. In fact, Qianfen had left his footprints in all 4 continents of the divine supreme continent and made many friends. However, when he returned to the 3 continents, his friends were nowhere to be seen. Even the sects they belonged to had turned into ruins. The culprit who caused all of this was still living freely in the Eastfield continent. Every time Ling Wannian's name popped up in his mind, Qianfen wanted to kill his way to the Eastfield continent and fight him to the death. 3 months after Qianfen's return to the divine world, the harsh environment in the North Sand continent, South Flat continent, and West Sea continent had changed drastically. At this time, Qianfen stepped on a rainbow and flew towards the Eastfield continent. Behind him was a sword rainbow that seemed to connect the sky of the 4 continents, attracting the attention of hundreds of millions of cultivators. Everything was normal in the Eastfield continent. There was not even a shadow of the celestial devouring bugs. The cities were flourishing, as if they were in a different world from the other 3 continents. Qianfen had always been a person who did things cleanly. The moment he stepped into the Kobe Gates territory, the rainbow under his feet flew out and brought a magnificent sword ray down to the ground. Rumble. That sword ray fell. Half of the Kobe Gate was destroyed. The ground sank into a bottomless pit. The buildings collapsed and fell. It was as if they had fallen into the 18th level of hell. Baidu searched for the novel website of Yunlai Pavilion, allowing you to experience the latest and fastest novel chapters. All the novels are updated in seconds. Chapter 2177. The Heavenly Rainbow Strike had started the War of the Golden Age. The Kobe Gate was in an uproar, and the group of pampered cultivators were extremely surprised. The Apex update fastest. What's going on? Maybe someone's breakthrough triggered a heavenly tribulation. Such a violent heavenly tribulation. That person must be at least a true god. Not just a true god. I'm afraid he's about to ascend to the immortal realm. Is there someone in the Kobe clan who's on par with sect leader Ling? Everyone's first reaction was to undergo a heavenly tribulation. No one thought that an enemy was attacking the Kobe clan. The divine supreme continent was now under Ling Wannian's rule. Other than the Eastfield continent, the cultivators from the other 3 continents were being corroded by the devouring insects. How could they have the strength to attack the Eastfield continent? But soon, someone noticed something was wrong. Another loud explosion occurred in the Kobe clan's base, and the other half of the city fell into the pit. The sky was pierced by the sword rainbow, as if it was dyed with a layer of blood. A golden ray fell from the snow like a meteor. Oh my God! This isn't a heavenly tribulation. Someone is attacking the Kobe clan. Who's so daring? How dare they go against the Kobe clan? Aren't they afraid that sect leader Ling will kill them with one hand? Countless venerables from the 4 continents have come to the divine supreme continent in the past year, but they all ended up the same way. Those who offend the Kobe clan will die. Everyone, let's kill that ant together. Despite witnessing Qianfen's power, no one was afraid because Ling Wannian's undefeatable image had been deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. The entire divine supreme continent was under his control. Suddenly, hundreds of figures flew into the sky. They were cultivators of different realms, from the body condensation realm to the true form realm. Beneath the flying clouds, the flashes of blades and shadows of swords rained down on Qin Fin like rain. However, Qin Fin didn't even use any of his techniques. He merely activated his immortal sea, and a golden light appeared. Instantly, an interface was formed, and the ferocious attacks instantly disappeared. The crowd was so shocked that they even forgot to continue attacking. At this moment, a rainbow light fell from the sky, as if the light of sunset had fallen from the sky. Rumble. Loud noises echoed. The hundreds of cultivators who had rushed into the sky instantly exploded like dazzling fireworks. A strange aura drifted out from Kobe Gate. The 1,000,000 cultivators standing at the bottom of the sinkhole were dumbfounded. Qin Fin's strength was beyond everyone's expectations. This lone cultivator was stronger than any of the previous waves of enemies. Humph. You're just a deliberately mystifying ant. Let this old man fight you. Even true form realm cultivators did not dare to act rashly. At that moment, an expert at the peak true form realm soared into the clouds. He would probably be able to become a true god after 3 to 5 years of arduous cultivation. On the divine continent, true god realm seniors were as rare as phoenix feathers and water chestnuts. Especially after Nan Tianjue and the other 8 supremes had fallen, the number of true god realm masters who were still alive could be counted on one hand. Seeing the truth realization state peak stage Qianbei attack, the Kobe sect disciples' hope was reignited. Everyone even had a strong sense of anticipation. Such a battle between true masters was only seen once in a century. You're about to die by my hands. Remember my name. I'm the young elder of the Kobe sect Ling, Rumble. Before the old man could shout out his full name, a loud noise sounded in his head. Only he could hear it. It was the sound of his spiritual sea exploding. When his spiritual sea was destroyed, the old man could not even circulate his true essence. His body that had just rushed into the sky swayed and fell on a mountain peak from a few hundred meters high. The excited Kobe sect disciples seemed to have been cast a body-freezing spell. Their expressions froze, their bodies stiffened, and their eyes shot out rays of disbelief. Dead? Young Elder Ling Hai is dead? If I remember correctly, young Elder Ling Hai was at the peak true form realm. Even such a master died in an instant? Wouldn't we be killed by that person with just a raise of his hand? That guy must have become a true god. I didn't expect that there were still true god realm masters on the divine continent other than the Kobe sect. Soon, some people figured out the situation. The enemy who had returned was quite fierce. He had actually entered the true god realm. However, although there were only a few true gods, they were not enough in front of the Kobe sect. There were more than 10 true god realm masters in the Kobe sect, and sect leader Ling Wanyan, who had become an immortal, was in charge. Just as the discussion was raging, 5 figures suddenly appeared in the sky. The 5 of them formed a 5-star formation, surrounding Qin Fin in the middle.
Who are you?
How dare you cause trouble in the Kobe sect? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you've become a true god. Any one of the 5 of us can kill you. Seeing that you've entered the true god realm at such a young age, you can be considered a cultivation genius that only appears once in 1,000 years. As long as you join the Kobe sect and yield to sect leader Ling, we can let bygones be bygones. The 5 old men were very arrogant. They were all true god experts, so they did not take a junior like Qin Fin seriously. Yield to the Kobe sect? Are you joking with me? Qin Fin's voice was cold. One of the old men said angrily, "You really think you're something? Do we have the time to joke with you? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. Once the time is up, you'll die." Qin Fin sneered. "Then I'll give you a choice too. Either destroy your true vitality, or be killed by me." "How dare you, ant? I'll show you my power." Qin Fin's arrogance completely infuriated the 5 of them. An old man took the lead and a huge true vitality handprint appeared in the void. It was like a 5-fingered mountain pressing on Qin Fin's head. Violent true qi surged out from the handprint, and the weather changed. A strong wind blew as though a storm was about to fall. When the handprint was about to envelop Qin Fin, He pointed at the sky. A golden light suddenly appeared above his head. The light was very weak at first. It was like a broken leaf swaying in the true vitality handprint that had formed a tornado. However, in just a moment, the golden light shot out tens of thousands of zhong. Every ray of light seemed to condense into a substantial flying arrow, shooting into the distant sky. The true vitality handprint disappeared instantly. There was no violent explosion that would occur when true vitality collided. The old man who attacked was stunned by the scene in front of him. Before he could come back to his senses, a rainbow light pierced through his body and instantly blew him into pieces. A true god expert fell just like that. This was a fact that was hard to accept. Qin Fun's low and cold voice came down from the sky, echoing in the sky above the Kobe sect. "The four of you attack together. Don't waste my time." The four true God Grand Elders had the intention to retreat. They even suspected that Qin Fun had already stepped into the immortal rank. However, it was too late to retreat now. The four of them looked at each other and could only bite the bullet and attack Qin Fun at the same time. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2178. And being too arrogant is not a good thing. It will only make you die faster. Even if you are an immortal, don't even think about destroying the Kobe faction today. The four of them did not forget to threaten Qin Wentian. This was a matter of face. However, as soon as they finished speaking, four sword rainbows appeared. It was as though they were killing intents that came from beyond the heavens, and they instantly killed the four real God Almighties. Even their divine senses were destroyed. When the four divine senses let out miserable cries, many of the Kobe faction's disciples' Sea of Consciousness were severely injured, and their heads were in so much pain that it felt like it was about to explode. 5 true God Realm experts could not stop Qin Fun and were even killed with a single slash. It was only then that the Kobe faction's disciples realized how terrifying Qin Fun was. There was only one enemy this time, but he was like a huge mountain pressing down on every cultivator's heart. Even the great elder of the real God realm was killed. Could that guy have entered the celestial ranks? Won't he enter the immortal world after becoming an immortal? Why can he stay on the divine continent? The Kobe faction's disaster is coming. I'm afraid only sect leader Ling can fight him in the entire divine continent. The crowd was in an uproar. No one dared to come out and fight Qin Fun anymore. There were still a few true God realm experts hiding in the crowd, and they did not have their usual imposing manner. At this time, a hurricane surged from the bottom of the heaven pit. A moment later, a figure appeared in the sky, and it immediately caused the crowd to scream. Sect leader Ling is finally out. Ha! Sect leader Ling is here. That ant's time of death has come. Ling Wanyan appeared. As soon as his figure appeared in the sky, a few figures flew to his side at the same time. Greetings, sect leader Ling. The 6 of them shouted in unison. They were all true God realm experts. Previously, they were suppressed by Qin Fun's divine aura and did not dare to come out, but after seeing the sect leader, they regained their confidence. However, as soon as the 6 of them shouted, 6 rainbows appeared and pierced through their bodies. Ling Wanyan stood still in the center of the explosion as if the explosion did not exist. Oh my God! That guy dared to kill the great elders in front of sect leader Ling. He must be tired of living. Why didn't sect leader Ling save the 6 great elders? Or did he not have the chance to save her? The disciples in the sinkhole all had different expressions, and there was already a small portion of them who started to panic. They thought to themselves, could it be that even sect leader Ling isn't a match for that fellow? Ling Wanyan paid no attention to those discussions. His expression was as indifferent as water. His eyes, which were as bright as stars, were fixed on Qin Feng as if he wanted to see through him. You actually ascended to immortality, Ling Wanyan suddenly said. Qin Feng's eyes were blood red. The moment he saw Ling Wanyan, the flames of hatred in his heart burned fiercely and almost set him on fire. Ling Wanyan, today I, Qin Feng, will take your head. Ha! Don't think too highly of yourself just because you've entered the immortal world. This old man broke through the barrier of the immortal path 100 years ago, and now my cultivation is far above yours. Although you've killed many of my disciples, I'm willing to give you a chance to live. As long as you follow me faithfully in the future, I promise you that you'll be free to roam the divine continent. Ling Wannian had the thought of subduing Qin Feng. Dream on. I won't submit to you even if I die in battle. You've killed Nan Tianjue and the other supremes, annihilated the Lin clan, and forced my friends and family to sacrifice themselves. You've made the divine continent a mess. If I don't kill you, how am I going to explain to those who died? Qin Feng's voice was so loud that it sounded like thunder in everyone's ears. Ling Wannian sneered. Humph. You haven't even gotten rid of your inner demons. I really don't know how you managed to become an immortal. The divine continent is a place where only the strong are respected. If you don't want to die, you must become stronger. Even if those ants didn't die in my hands, sooner or later, they will be killed by others. Moreover, I've given them a chance to live. As long as they obey me, they can continue to live. They didn't cherish their lives, so how can you blame me for that? Ling Wannian said with a matter-of-fact expression. Qin Feng clenched his fists, and an immortal aura surged from his body. The space around him began to shatter, and violent explosions rang out. The scene shocked everyone. You don't have to find excuses for yourself. No matter what, I will fight you to the death today. I will use your blood as a sacrifice to those who died, Qin Feng said angrily. Ling Wannian sneered. You can't kill me. I advise you not to sacrifice your life in vain. If it weren't for the fact that the divine continent has only produced a dozen fairies in the past tens of thousands of years, I wouldn't have wasted my breath on you. Also, I don't feel guilty about what I've done. Instead, I'm extremely proud of myself. The main reason why the divine continent has only produced a dozen fairies in the past tens of thousands of years is the lack of spiritual energy. The root cause of the lack of spiritual energy is too many people. What I'm doing now is getting rid of those unnecessary cultivators so that the divine continent can enter its most perfect state. Qin Feng felt disgusted. If Ling Wannian was really thinking about the divine continent's cultivators and fairies, he wouldn't have set up the sky ceiling formation. He only said that to confuse the cultivators who submitted to the Kobe faction. You're even more shameless than I thought. Qin Feng's face was as cold as ice. Ling Wannian laughed. You're a fairy, yet you still talk about something as meaningless as dignity. You're really funny. Do you think it's funny? I'm afraid you won't be able to laugh in a while. Qin Feng roared and launched an attack. He didn't move in the air, but a long rainbow swept across the void. Countless cultivators screamed. Qin Feng's blade was so fierce that they felt as if their bodies would be smashed to pieces if they were touched by it. However, Ling Wannian was calm and at ease. When the sword rainbow slashed at his waist, he thrust out a palm in the air. The air was instantly pierced, and a black hole appeared. The sword rainbow passed through the black hole with the same momentum, but it disappeared after passing through the sword rainbow in front of Ling Wannian. Since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, I'll fulfill your wish. After Ling Wannian blocked Qin Feng's sword, he immediately launched a counterattack. He slapped his palm, and a huge black hole floated in the air. It was as if a crack had opened in the sky, leading to another unknown world. What's that? Oh my god. Sect leader Ling actually created a distorted space with a single slap. Is this the power of a celestial venerable? He can create a crack in the air with a single move. How are we supposed to fight him? The people of the Kobe faction were dumbfounded. It was their first time seeing sect leader Ling in action. Even though many powerful cultivators had come to attack the Kobe faction in the past year, Ling Wannian had never shown his face. The black hole was rushing towards Qin Feng at an extremely fast speed. Qin Feng immediately punched out, creating a rift in the void. When the two rifts collided, an earth-shattering boom rang out. It was as if two dislocated spaces were colliding and fusing together, forming a new, unknown plane. Chapter 2179. The planes created by the collision continued to expand, like a huge black cloud floating above the Kobe Gate. The vertex was the fastest. It was as if the sky had cracked open, and no one knew what was on the other side of the crack. Collapsing space was the scariest disaster on the divine continent. No matter how high a cultivator's realm was, as long as they were sucked into a black hole, they would be instantly turned into ashes by the chaotic space-time wind blades. It was hard to accept that these two people could create such a terrifying space so easily. The Kobe Gate disciples were completely dumbfounded. They finally understood the huge difference between them and their immortal venerables.
Huh?
Didn't you just enter the immortal realm? Why is your immortal power so majestic? Ling Wanyan stopped his attack. Qin Feng had indeed just ascended to the immortal world, but he had cultivated bitterly in the time pocket world for 100 years. It was said that Ling Wanyan had also stepped into the immortal Tao 100 years ago. Is my immortal power very strong? I don't think so myself. Is it because you're too weak? Qin Feng snorted coldly and punched again. This punch instantly turned into 7 punches in the void, forming 7 spatial cracks that lined the sky like the Big Dipper. When the black hole approached, Ling Wanyan immediately sent out several palm strikes. The two planes collided, causing another earth-shattering noise. As the saying went, when immortals fight, mortals suffer. After Qin Feng and Ling Wanyan exchanged blows, the disciples of the Kobe Gate couldn't wait to escape. If they continued to fight like this, the sky above the Kobe Gate would be filled with black holes. If those black holes fell, no one would survive. Humph. Do you think you can defeat me like this? I'll show you my true strength. After a few clashes, neither of them suffered any substantial damage. Ling Wanyan's patience ran out. He suddenly roared, but he did not launch any new attacks. However, Qin Feng suddenly frowned. He felt a powerful immortal sea rushing into his brain. He immediately stopped his attacks and stood there in the air like a wooden puppet. Huh? What's wrong with that guy? He suddenly stopped moving. Such a good opportunity, but Gate Master Ling didn't make a move. I really don't understand the fight between immortal venerables. Is it the soul shedding? Their bodies are fixed in the void, but their souls are actually engaged in a fierce battle. As a group of cultivators, it was difficult for them to understand the current situation. They could only rely on their guesses and imagination. At this moment, Ling Wanyan's body suddenly moved. Like lightning, he instantly appeared in front of Qin Feng. What bullshit, tribulation taker. No one can stop me from ruling the divine supreme continent, not even the heavenly axiom. Ling Wanyan's expression turned crazy. He struck out with his palm, causing an explosion in the void. However, that palm strike missed and another black hole formed in the sky. Qin Feng was nowhere to be seen, but an intense immortal sea surged into Ling Wanyan's mind. By the time Ling Wanyan realized the danger, it was already too late. His immortal sea exploded, as though millions of needles were stirring in his mind, causing him so much pain that he wished he was dead. The sky was filled with Ling Wanyan's blood-curdling screams. It wasn't just his aura, but also Xianhai's attack. The disciples of the Kobe sect were immediately attacked. The low-level cultivator's spiritual sea was directly destroyed, and they became crippled on the spot. The higher-level cultivators tried their best to resist, revealing an extremely painful expression. How dare you trick me? Don't you know who I am? I'm the strongest cultivator of the divine supreme continent. Those who go against me will not have a good ending. Ling Wanyan roared again and again, like a wild beast that had gone mad. Qin Feng released a few more waves of immortal sea attacks and said in an indifferent tone, "People like you don't deserve to rule the divine supreme continent. It's time for someone else to take the position of strongest cultivator." When the new attack came, Ling Wanyan's immortal sea exploded as if there was a fuse hidden in it. Only he could hear the deafening sound, which was even more intense than the collision of the black holes in the void, causing Ling Wanyan's ears to go deaf. Qin Feng, stop, we can form an alliance. That way, the divine supreme continent will belong to you and me. Ling Wanyan lowered his stance. Qin Feng said coldly, ally with you? I'm afraid of ruining my reputation. Today, I must use your blood as a sacrifice to those who have died. A long rainbow floated in the sky. It was as if the sunset had fallen from the sky, smashing onto Ling Wanyan. The violent explosion was like the arrival of doomsday. The sky was completely broken, filled with cracks and holes, like a beehive. Ling Wanyan no longer had the strength to fight back. His body disintegrated in the explosion and eventually fell into those black holes, disappearing without a trace. Half an hour later, the explosion above the Kobe Gate had yet to subside. Qin Feng landed in the heaven pit. Faint immortal qi gushed out from his body, like a sharp dagger pressed against each cultivator's throat, making the atmosphere extremely oppressive. His revenge had been avenged, but Qin Feng couldn't bring himself to feel any joy. Just as he had expected. So what if he killed Ling Wanyan? Dead friends and relatives could not be brought back to life. Qin Feng stood in the sinkhole in a daze. None of the million Kobe disciples dared to sneak away. They didn't even dare to breathe, and they didn't dare to look at Qin Feng. Even their divine sense was sealed. They were afraid that if they accidentally angered Qin Feng, they would be turned into ashes in the next second. The dead cannot be brought back to life. After a long time, Qin Feng let out a long sigh. He adjusted his emotions and continued, "Today I, Qin Feng, have killed the Kobe Gate's sect master, Ling Wanyan, and removed a great evil for the divine supreme continent. I hope all sects will live in harmony in the future and stop fighting and killing." After saying that, Qin Feng turned into a streak of sword light and disappeared into the distance. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a few cultivators came back to their senses. Has Senior Qin left? He should have. I can't feel his aura nearby. He killed Ling Wanyan? He looks like he's only in his early 30s, yet he has already set foot on the throne of the Divine Supreme Continent. I'm afraid he's the youngest Divine Supreme since the formation of the Divine Supreme Continent. Ling Wanyan is really dead? That's great. We, the Scorpio Gate, were forced to join the Kobe Gate, but I hate Ling Wanyan to the core. Not only did he set up the sky ceiling formation to stop us from ascending to immortality, but he also slaughtered many of our disciples. Now, the Divine Supreme Continent has finally returned. Many cultivators had the same experience as the leader of the Scorpio sect. In order to survive, they had to submit to the Kobe sect and began to drag out an ignoble existence. Now that Qin Feng had killed Ling Wanyan, it could be said to be the most exciting news in the Divine Continent. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. As soon as Ling Wanyan died, all the sects immediately joined forces to eradicate the remaining Kobe Gate disciples. Half a month after Qin Feng killed Ling Wanyan, the Kobe Gate that had been glorious for a century on the Divine Supreme Continent had completely disappeared. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2180. 1 year later, the Divine Supreme Continent was rebuilt. There were many sects and spiritual qi was more abundant. The sky ceiling formation disappeared. Flying to the path of immortality became every cultivator's dream again. Ever since that battle, no one had seen Qin Feng again. It was as if he had disappeared from the Divine Supreme Continent without a trace. In the northern sand region's Red Street Market, a young man sat by a lake and stared blankly at the sky. This was what he did every day for the past year. Ever since the Battle of the Pinnacle, Scarlet Street Market had disappeared from the northern sand region. No one had been able to find this place ever since. This was because the young man had set up a level 9 concealment formation around Scarlet Street Market. He was the only one living in this huge market. The young man was Qin Feng. Red Street Market was his first stop after coming to the Divine Supreme Continent's northern sand region. Back then, Su Ruoro and the other girls were chosen by the Hunyuan sect's elders and brought back to the sect. However, because Qin Feng's spirit root was inferior, he could only be a Hunyuan sect disciple. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Qin Feng had become the strongest person in the 4 continents since he first came to the Divine Supreme Continent. However, this was not what he wanted. What he wanted was very simple. He wanted to find his girls and mother and then return to Earth. However, this was all for naught. Everyone sacrificed their power of inheritance. During this year, he tried all sorts of methods to return to Earth, but to no avail. In a short year, Qianfen felt like 10 centuries. His hair was white, and his face was full of vicissitudes. He was only 30 years old, but he looked 300 years old. Master, did I make the wrong choice? Little Pig suddenly spoke. For the past year, Qianfen could only communicate with Little Pig every day. There is no real right or wrong. It's just that I can't accept the result. Qianfen's voice was hoarse. Little Pig seemed to have changed today, but Qianfen couldn't tell what was different. I really made the wrong choice. I thought that if everyone voluntarily gave up their power of inheritance, we would win in the end. Everyone would die a worthy death. However, Master has to bear all the blame. When people die, they have nothing. However, I now understand that sometimes death is a form of release. The living are more tiring. I thought that time would make Master's emotions and longing fade. Thus, I made another big mistake. Time will only deepen the longing until it fuses into your blood and becomes a part of your life. Lil Piggy, don't say any more. I never blamed you, Qianfeng said. Little Pig interrupted Qianfeng for the first time. Master, if you don't say it now, you won't have another chance. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Little Pig feels very proud to be able to follow a master like you. What are you going to do?
Qianfeng had a bad feeling.
Little Pig continued. Master, actually, every legacy in the immortal world has a self-destruct system. When the legacy self-destructs, all of the stored power will be released. This power can destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, but it can also allow all living things to be reborn. I don't know how much power the Hedonist sovereign system has, but I have to give it a try. I know Master will object to this, but this time, please allow Little Pig to be stubborn. Little Pig, don't! Qianfeng roared, but he had already lost contact with the Little Pig. Not only that, but he couldn't even sense the Hedonist sovereign system. A golden light flew up from the top of his head and floated under the blue sky. Just as Qianfen was about to fly up and grab that golden, he heard a rumbling sound. It was like the explosion at the beginning of the universe. Space began to distort, and Qianfen gradually lost consciousness. Acropolis University. Qianfeng abruptly sat up from his desk. He felt a sharp pain in his head. A boundless amount of information surged into his head, almost causing it to explode. He remembered that he was chatting with Little Pig by the Red Street Market Sky Lake in the northern sand region, and in front of him was the familiar university classroom. That summer, when Qianfeng woke up in class, the Hedonist sovereign system appeared in his mind, and his life changed from then on. When the power of the legacy self-destructed, he returned to the beginning of the timeline. He sat in the multimedia classroom of the Acropolis University's arts department. It was as if nothing had happened, but his memories were still there. Qianfeng, please pay attention to class discipline. All right, everyone quiet down and continue with class. Because he stood up too abruptly, Qianfeng's knees hit the bottom of the table, causing a loud noise. On the platform, teacher Yun Zhao's face was ice cold. She had a stomach full of resentment towards Qianfeng, this hedonist young master. Everything was normal. After Qianfeng came back to his senses, the first thing he did was take out his phone. The date was set to June 12, 2015, which was the day he received the system. On his desk, there was a little toy lying quietly. It was pink and plush, had a pair of sparkling eyes, and a pocket-sized nose. It looked exactly like Little Pig, but it was just a doll. Qianfeng's tears instantly fell like rain. He thought of a saying, "If only life was like the first time we met." The power of the legacy brought him back. Everyone came back, but the system had exploded and disappeared. The soul of the system, Little Pig, had also been destroyed. Are you okay? A weak and familiar voice sounded in his ear. When Qianfeng turned to look, his tears surged even more violently. Lin Bei Bei wore a school uniform that had been washed white. Her eyes were a bit fearful, and the sunlight shone through the window onto her body. She looked like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. Why are you crying? It was the first time Lin Bei had seen Qin Feng cry. In her mind, Qin Feng was a hedonist young master who didn't shrink from any crime and only knew how to make others cry. Should I call an ambulance? Seeing that Qin Feng didn't speak, Lin Bei's little heart was about to jump out of her throat. It's so good to see you again. After a while, Qin Feng spoke. Lin Bei felt that Qin Feng was a bit strange today. There was something in his eyes, but she couldn't tell what it was. We're deskmates. We see each other every day. You don't scare me, are you okay? Lin Bei shifted her body and looked at him like he was crazy. Do you think he's cute? Qin Feng picked up the little pig doll. Lin Bei's eyes sparkled and she revealed a happy expression. Wow, what a cute doll. I think I've seen it somewhere before. You've seen it before. Lin Bei couldn't understand Qin Feng's words. If you like it, I'll give it to you. Really? Lin Bei was pleasantly surprised. But I have a condition. What condition? Lin Bei immediately revealed a vigilant expression. Her impression of Qin Feng wasn't good at all. Can you help me with my lessons? Qin Feng said with a smile. Lin Bei's mouth opened so wide that 2 duck eggs could fit inside. Why you want to study? I didn't hear wrong, right? I'm serious. As long as you help me with my lessons, I'll give you this cute doll. Plus, I'll pay for your lessons. Pay 100,000 in advance. Hearing the amount of 100,000, Lin Bei's expression changed greatly. Her mother was recently hospitalized and needed surgery. The surgery fee just so happened to be 100,000. She couldn't resist Qin Feng's temptation. Why do you want to do this? Lin Bei asked. Because you're my future wife. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.